Okay, so thank you everybody for joining us for our second HKF Zoom seminar. With the county guidelines easing a little bit, most of us, at least planning on returning to practice if we haven't already returned already. I thought this would be a perfect time to host another Zoom seminar in addition to the one we had at the end of last year. Last time we had an amazing turnout, had 6 speakers, and today we'll have 4 new speakers and then 1 returning speaker as well. So the intent of this seminar was mainly to highlight our younger sensei and their unique perspectives to Kendo. And even though the speakers we have today are relatively young, they have a combined 130 or so years of Kendo experience. And so, they do have a lot to share with us. The other purpose of this seminar was to bring members of the HKF together. Although we're from a bunch of different dojo across, across Oahu, Kauai as well, and we have some guests from the mainland. The Zoom platform makes it super convenient for us to just come together and see each other, and also for us to learn from other sensei as well. And I think if we're able to pick up at least one small thing from each speaker, I think that would be great. So overall, the seminar, it'll be 5 speakers. Each session will be 35 minutes, and we'll have a 10-minute break between each speaker, just to get water, and in case we need the extra time, there's extra questions. But our first speaker today will be Lonny. So Lonny, he started Kendo at the Mililani Kendo Club back in 1989. He relocated to the mainland temporarily, but has been practicing Kendo for 23 years. He's a Godan and represented PNKF at US Nationals 3 times. And so I'll hand off the floor to Lonny, and we can get started with the seminar. So let me just spotlight Lonny. And yeah, go ahead.
Ohayou gozaimasu. Can you guys all hear me? Good morning, everybody. As Braxton said, my name is Lonny Hancock. I'm from Mililani Kendo Club. First of all, this section is kind of more like a mind exercise, so you can put your shinais down. However, if you want to, feel free to do hayasuburis as I talk. As Braxton, when Braxton asked me to do this, I wanted to talk about something that we all go through, but something that's not normally discussed. So I was thinking, all right, what do you do before you go to your dojo, before you even drive to practice? What needs to happen? You brush your teeth? No, I don't want to talk about that, because not brushing your teeth makes your tai stronger, right? I was thinking, first of all, you need to be motivated to go to practice. So starting with that, this is a topic that kind of resonates with me, because I work as a senior enlisted leader in the United States Air Force, and I'm usually in charge of 50 to 60 joint personnel. So it's my job to motivate our individuals so that we can work as a team and we can move to our mission goals together. This is actually very easy in the military, because if they don't do what I tell them to do, they have to go to jail. So my techniques doesn't simply cross over into Kendo. I can't be just like, hey, Braxton, I see you didn't go to practice, you got to go to jail. No, I can't do that. My powers don't work here. So we're gonna try something different. Fortunately and unfortunately, we all went through a global pandemic. We each had to live through some unprecedented hardships. We had to battle our own inner demons, right? But this is something that we all had to experience. So in a way, I believe that it brought us even closer together. So we're on the same page. And as we slowly inch our way back to normalcy, I know what most of you are thinking. I can't wait to get back to normal Kendo, right? So this is great. The fact that you're here on a Sunday morning wanting to learn about Kendo, that's great. The energy, the passion that you possess in Kendo is what keeps this Kendo culture alive and well. So this is what I want to talk about. The fuel that you have within you that drives you to keep doing Kendo, that itch that you had to put the bogo on, that's what interests me. So I want you to remember this feeling that you have this moment. My ultimate hope is not only will you maintain this drive, for the rest of your life, but you'll help me motivate others as well. So in order to maintain this motivation, I prepared 3 tips. Now, these aren't mind-blowing tips. They're not gonna send you into enlightenment, but there are a few simple things that you could do to maintain strong motivation, Kendo. So first of all is to establish a solid routine. When you go to your dojo, there's already set expectations, right? You lay to go into your dojo. You give aisatsu to your senseis, senpais, kohais. You do warm-ups. But I'm talking about before all that, because Kendo doesn't start and end with your dojo. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of thinking. So let's just start with developing a solid routine that includes what you do before you even leave the house. So inspecting your shinais, folding your hakama, gi, packing your bogu, eating a light snack, drinking lots of water, and leaving early to make sure you get to practice on time so you're properly warmed up. Just building a routine and sticking to it. And over time, once you establish a strong routine, it's hard to really break. Tip number 2 is maintaining positive energy. Well, first of all, no one wants to hang around negative people, right? Positive energy is infectious. So having positive energy and positive outlook, that will bleed on to your friends, your peers. And people will look forward to coming back to practice and sharing that positive energy with one another. And the final goal, the final tip is establishing goals and expectations. So I want you all to close your eyes for a moment and envision yourself, your ideal self, your ideal style of Kendo. Imagine yourself striking a beautiful man. Now open your eyes. That perfect Kendo that you imagine, that's what we also strive for. That's what kind of Kendo that you expect of yourself. So you set goals and expectations that will help you get you there. There should be it should be measurable in some way so that you know that you're making progress. So something could be like getting your next rank or getting a point in Braxton or most importantly, talking to your senses, asking for honest feedback on your Kendo. That will help you understand where you're at. For now, don't worry about how you'll get there. That will come in time. Focus on where you want to be. By envisioning your ideal Kendo, you'll keep working on striving to get yourself there. So those are the 3 tips I have. Finally, I just wanted to end with a short discussion on sharing what drives each of us. I was hoping that like a few of you will be willing to share why you do Kendo and what motivates you to keep going. So to start that, I'll go ahead and start. When I was younger, my dad was my main source of motivation because I didn't have a choice but to do Kendo. Growing up, my motivation shifted to doing well in competitions, traveling, and meeting people. Lately, my motivation comes from learning from my senseis and trying to figure out how myself could become a great sensei. I want to focus on building the next generation of Kendoists, trying to keep the Kendo spirit alive. And I want those that are joining Kendo for the first time to also have the same, if not even better experiences that I had throughout the years. So that's all I have. Would anyone be willing to share their experiences and what drives them to the Kendo?
Yeah, I can start.
All right.
Yeah, so growing up, I was similar to you where I didn't have any choice in, actually starting Kendo or continuing Kendo. There's a lot of times when I wanted to quit. Sometimes because it was really hard, sometimes because I just thought I had better stuff to do, like stay home and play video games. But it wasn't until after my first world tournament in 2009 in Brazil that I actually started to like Kendo. And I realized that there's so much that I actually got from it, being able to travel to Canada every year, being able to travel to, Brazil out of all places where I would have never gone, meet all these people that, we don't speak the same language, but, we do communicate through Kendo. And we're able to form those bonds, and, meeting them 3 years later, even without speaking to each other, the entire time in between, you still just pick up where you left off. And I think Kendo's super helpful in developing those bonds, developing the ability to communicate with people. And I don't think I would have gotten into medical school without Kendo, because my resume was terrible, but I revolved my entire resume around Kendo. I made my personal statement about Kendo. During my interviews, I connected everything back to Kendo. And so that helped me to stand out as, that Kendo guy that was trying to, become a doctor. And so I think that it helped me also in my career. And then, as I became an instructor, then the motivation changed for, doing Kendo, not necessarily just for myself, but then doing it for all the members, at AIA and my Pahu, and, for the entire state. And, I'm hoping that we can, increase the population, increase the interest, and hopefully, we can make Hawaii even stronger. And everybody's having kids now. Lonny, you got one. So that's the next generation, and I'm hoping that we force them to continue Kendo as well.
Thank you. That was good. Anyone else? Good sensei?
Okay. All right. What you asked. What got me started was my dad just started taking me when I was like 5, actually, to Kaimuki. And so I didn't know any better. We only did it for a year, so I really didn't get into the hard stuff. It was like real basics for a year. And so I thought it was super fun. Like, I didn't really put Bogu on or anything. So it was like just tons of fun. Take me to 7-Eleven after every practice. I loved it. And then when I was 12, we did Kendo at IA Taiheiji. And so from that point, like speaking to like your goals, setting your goals. My goals were to be like Grant. I saw Grant, who's close in age, and I was like, wow, that guy's super awesome. And then Braxton's dad. And so that's kind of in terms of goal setting, I wanted to be like them. And then as kind of got older, was more and more into competition. And that really drove me to practice hard, to practice at home, I practice every day at home to try to get better so that when I came to practice. And so that kind of continued. But speaking to kind of how it becomes more and more of who you are outside of the dojo, I think it's the same, kind of similar to Braxton's experience, how that intense focus really helped me succeed in law school and then in private practice. So it's kind of something that becomes who you are, and being able to really focus. And then in litigation, you're trying to offset your opponent, and take advantage of opportunity. And then, what drives me today, I still enjoy competition, but it's also a large part of trying to motivate the students, in IA, and trying to set an example and guide them. So that's kind of my perspective. And of course, the broader federation, and trying to do things to further Kendo in Hawaii.
Chris, how has having kids changed it?
So okay, that's a good point. I had kind of fallen off doing Kendo. I think once I entered law school, I found it really hard to make time because they assign so much like reading and stuff on a daily basis. So I found it really hard, and I started coming to the dojo less and less and less and less. So I went from like coming right off of world championship competition in Scotland to hardly doing anything because of the amount of reading and stuff that I had to do and writing for law school. So I kind of trailed off. And so once I had kids, I decided I wanted to come back to Kendo, and I wanted them to do Kendo. So that really motivated me to come back to the dojo, to train hard, to set an example for them. And I've taken the approach of they don't really have a choice. So they're going to do Kendo as long as they live under my roof. So And even then, I'm hoping that it sticks with them once they don't, so that they'll come to a point of enjoying it. And so, from like a tactical perspective, I want to make it fun for them. And so one thing I do is I try not to teach them too much. Try not to. Then they got to learn from Braxton. That's not easy either. And then the other thing is I want to try to motivate them by like taking them on trips. So probably the next time there's a Stevenson tournament, I'm planning on taking both of them so that they'll get exposed to that and see that it's not just all super hard work associated with kendo, that there's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, and they have friends and all that, but I get those questions from them. Why do I have to keep going? It's like, because it's a family activity. So
Thank you. That was awesome.
yeah.
Like, anyone else?
Hey, Chen.
I'm about to talk after you, so I don't want to talk too much now. Yeah, and I think I'm going to cover some of it, but I think primarily one of the most motivating factors, like I like everybody else, was forced to do kendo for the longest time, and I've maybe hated it more than a lot of people, but I came from a very competitive family, so we had to do well. And I think even if you don't want to be there, you still want to excel at it, whether by choice or by force. And then that was kind of my early years. And then later on, it was at 12 years old that I got to take my first trip. And that was kind of the big change for me. I actually enjoyed it for a little bit. I got to go to Canada, and then they have an annual tournament. So thereafter I got to go. So a lot of it is just me, making friends from abroad that share something in common that maybe they also don't want to do, but you find like a lot of friendships throughout. And then also family, like kendo, I think a lot of times your dojo becomes like your extended family. For instance, even someone like Lonny, he moved away, but we'd meet up in Canada. Like he was a little kid that I used to tie up as a child. Apparently, I don't remember all of it, but I tie, they're like the little annoying baby brothers that you tie up to a pole, maybe with their hakama still on. But, like these are things like everyone becomes family. And that's one of the things that I think helps keep people in kendo. But I'm going to stop there because I got to talk more later.
Yeah, thanks. That was great. Yeah, that was you're a big motivating factor of me hitting the gym, so I don't get beat up by you. But it's interesting. It's interesting that you guys keep bringing up Stevenson tournament. That was actually a turning point for me as well. When I went to Stevenson tournament when I was 8, we went with all the juniors, and I saw snow for the first time, and Jack pelted me with a snowball and made me cry. I remember that, Jack, if you're here. But yeah, that was the turning point, and like ever since then, I just it's became an internal thing, not me being forced to do it, right? So yeah, I'm glad we got to share these experiences. It's pretty much what I wanted, and I just hope that I get to practice with all you guys very soon. But that's pretty much all I got.
Lonny, I have a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
For the instructor, senpai, even members who have they see other members who maybe aren't quite as motivated, what would you recommend as far as keeping these people in kendo?
So to motivate other people,
Yeah.
well, getting close with them, learning about their family, like their life, right?
Mhm.
Like I said, I'm a senior enlisted leader for like 50, 60 people. So it's hard to, get close with every single one of them, right? But I try. And I noticed it made a big difference. There's like, everyone goes through so much. And especially in the past couple of years, we've been, hit hard, right? So just reaching out to people, making it a point to just get to know everyone and figure out what motivates them, and then helping them inspire them to get better and to try hard. That's all I can say. Is that the right answer?
That's good. That's good.
Hey, Lonnie, I have a quick comment. Well, for everyone, for motivation, if I can. I know I haven't been part of these videos in a while, but for myself, I think I grew up with a lot of rivals. Like Jack, we'll meet every Sunday at the Kaimuki Hombu practice, and then we'll go back to our dojo. We'll practice against each other. We'll go against each other on Sunday. Growing up with different guys, David, Grant, Wes, different rivals, and then Chris Gooden started coming up, and he's tall, he has all these strengths. Seth Harris, starting Nitoryu. As we grow up, we have these rivals, and these it's not just competitive. We're friends, we're really good friends, but I think having this rivalry was really important to us. And looking at you young folks, I'm still 39, but looking at you young folks, I see that competitiveness, that rivalry. You have friends, you have Kendo rivals that you can compare yourself with, or see how far you're getting. And that's what I enjoy about Hawaii. We have this closeness, but we have this good, strong rivalry that you guys have. And I know, Lonnie, you too, when you're in PNKF, you had Garrett and Marston and Imanishi and stuff like that. So I think having that friendship but good rivalry is what keeps the level high. I just want to put that up.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was good. I just want to address a question that Neil put up. How do you stay motivated when you feel you're not progressing in Kendo? That's a good question. Actually, that's great, actually, because I feel like if you're progressing too easily, not really being challenged, right? So if you feel like you're not progressing, that means you're at that wall, right? And when you break through, you're gonna push through. You're gonna make leaps and bounds. So I don't know specifically like what part of Kendo you're not progressing in, but whatever it is, that means that you need to focus now to figure out how to get past that.
How would you get through that wall? Or you've done it for 23 years, and we've all gone through those plateau periods. Is there any
How we,
you remember specifically?
I don't know, practice. Yeah, it really depends what we're talking about.
Because I know in my teens, there's a point where I just plateaued, and I really wasn't getting. I didn't feel like I was getting any better, and that was pretty frustrating because there's a lot of people in the club that were better than me, and I just wanted to beat everybody. And so what ended up happening was I had to change my style completely from little kid Kendo to try to do more adult Kendo. And for a period, I got junker for sure. But then I think of it like a caterpillar to a butterfly. Caterpillars, they're all right, but they're not progressing, they're not anything special. And for you to become a butterfly, you need to go to that cocoon stage where you're even more useless than a caterpillar is. But you need to go through that period in order to become a butterfly and to actually, show what your true, Kendo is. And so
you just come up with that on your spot?
no, I've always thought of myself as a caterpillar. So, but I think that's one thing that a lot of people are afraid of, is that dip as you try to change your Kendo. And no one likes to get beaten up, but if you're able to do that and make that big change, I think that's where you can finally see your Kendo advancing after it's plateaued for a while.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that pretty much answers Neil's question. Like, if what you're doing is not getting you to where you need to be, maybe you just don't see what you're supposed to do. You got to be a little more innovative. You got to talk to people, talk to senseis to figure out, hey, I have this problem, I can't do this. Well, what could it be? And someone else might see it, but you might not know by yourself. So yeah, just reaching out. We can talk later.
So I have a reaction to that one. I feel like when I was a teenager, what really helped me was I would try never to miss practice and then practice as much as I can on my own. And two, I would try to seek out hard practice. And so the hardest practice was going with Braxton's dad. So I would ask him to practice every single class and he would just beat me down. And so I felt like through that process, I got a lot stronger.
And then I think where's Neil at? But I think there's several things to do with that too. So kind of going along with what Braxton was saying, you can go ahead and try and change your style, but then also you can do baby steps. Like if you're having a hard time, you can focus on maybe one thing to try and improve and just really get better at that one thing. And see if that affects things. But then also be open, again, with what Chris was saying, like be open to maybe, and Lonny, be open to what other sensei are saying, and you can kind of pick up things and try it out for yourself and see how that works. And then again, know that there's growing pains as you pick up that new information, because you're not going to immediately be good at whatever it is that you just learned from them. So there's that. And then also videotaping yourself, I think, is a huge thing. A lot of times you won't see the mistakes that you're making on your own. So like, for instance, we're always telling people like, don't kick up your back foot. People don't realize they're doing it sometimes. And unless they see it on video, they don't realize that that's something that happens all the time. And even making a small adjustment when you see that might actually help you improve your Kendo. And, you might not plateau as much as you, or you may improve from where you're at. So like small adjustments, again, by videotaping yourself, if you don't know or can't see things that people are telling you to correct. What did I say? And then I said, focus on small things or one thing at a time, maybe to try and adjust one or two things at a time, and then being open to new information. So,
actually, going off what Roxy said, that small steps thing, one thing that really helped me was Miura Sensei's tip for all of us when we're training. He said to pick one goal for every keiko, and I've tried that, and even picking more than one goal, it's too much for one practice. So I try to take one thing. Like it's like, okay, maybe it's relax my shoulders, my grip on my right hand is too much. So one thing per keiko, and I'll just try to focus on that one thing during that keiko, see how it goes. Maybe I'll do that same goal for the next time. Maybe I'll pick a new goal. But having at least one goal, it makes those small changes over time that add up. And just having one goal per keiko keeps me motivated, at least for that keiko.
Yeah, I think those small wins and small successes are super important. And I think that goes on for anything in your life. Like if you need to diet, you snack a lot, just be like, today I'll have one less Oreo. And, week after week, you'll eventually be at 0 Oreos. And just having those little wins can eventually make a big difference.
why you gotta call out Oreos?
Yeah, I like Oreos. I've had to cut back on my Oreo intake too.
Yeah, I had like 3 last night.
Thanks, everyone. Those are all really good, good insights. Thank you.
Okay, anything else, Lonny?
Oh, that's it.
I think the only other thing was, did Sato Sensei have anything to say? Seems like he's pretty active in the chat, but it'd be nice if we could hear him talk. He has way more experience than all of us.
Don't you know that I'm a shy person? I don't want everybody to see me poking my nose while watching. That's why I'm hiding. But I posted on the chat everything I came up to my mind. So, and I appreciate these young people doing very well, and then I'm so happy that you guys gonna be leading our organization in a very, very positive, expanding way. And I'm very happy. And then no need to win much, but win in your lives, okay? And apply Kendo in your lives. And that's most important thing. Man. Of course, winning is very fun. You know, losing is very disgusting, but you know, through Kendo, you can win in your lives. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Papa.
Misato sensei. Okay, Lonny.
I just want to say thank you for having me, and I can't wait to practice with all you guys again soon. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. So we finished this session a little bit early. We can take a break for now. For those of you who don't want a break, I'll be doing some Suburi, and so you can follow along. But if you guys just want to take a break, go ahead, and we'll resume back at 9:30. Okay. Yeah, and then that class will be led by my sister Roxy, and she'll be talking about women's Kendo. Okay, so one moment. Okay. So for those of you who want to do Suburi, you can get your shinai. Yeah, so we'll have about 13 minutes or so. 15 minutes. Yeah, so come on. We'll start off with Joge Suburi. Suburi all the way forward, all the way back. Nice and easy. Warm up, keep the motion big. Let me get actually a spotlight. Okay. Ready? 20 times. Drip. Ich. Ni. Sam. She. Go. Look. Shich. Ach. Kid. Drip. Ich. Ni. Sam. She. Go. Look. Shich. Ach. Kid. Drip. Ich. Yeah, shake it out. Next one, Sayumen. Sayumen. 20 times. Hajime. Ich. Ni. Sam. Shi. Go. Ro. Shich. Ach. Kyu. Ju. Ich. Ni. Sam. Shi. Go. Look. Shich. Ach. Kyu. Ju. Ich. And loosen up. So in Menuchi, Zenshin Kotai, forward and back. 20 times. Drip, ich, ni, sam, shit, go, look, shit, ach, cute, shoot, ich, ni, sam, shit, go, look, shit, ach, cute, shoot, itch. Relax. Excellent. Men, left hand, all the way to chest level, tip at the head to chin level. Okay, left hand, 30 times. Hajime, ich, ni, sam, shi, go, look, shit, ach, kyu, ju, ni, sam, shi, go, look, shit, ach, kyu, ju, sam, ni, sam, shi, go, look, shit, ach, kyu, ju, ich. Okay, we'll quickly switch to our right hand, same thing. Men, one hand, right hand 30 times. Shred, ich, ni, sub, shi, go, look, shit, ach, kyu, ju, ich, ni, sub, shi, go, look, shit, ach, kyu, ju, sub, ni, sub, shi, go, look, shit, ach, kyu, ju, ich. Okay, next one. We'll hold our shinai backwards, left hand, squeeze all the way up and down, up, down, without moving your arm. So keep the arm straight, keep the wrist steady, up, down, up. Okay, 30 times. Ready, drip, ich, ni, sub, shi, go, look, shit, ach, kyu, ju, quick motion, ich, ni, sub, shi, go, look, shit, ach, kyu, ju, sub, ni, sub, shi, go, look, shit, ach, kyu, ju, ich. Okay, opposite side, right hand. Same thing. Ready, drip, ich, ni, sub, shi, go, look, shit, ach, kyu, ju, ni, sub, shi, go, look, shit, ach, kyu, ju, sub, ni, sub, shi, go, look, shit, ach, kyu, ju, ich. Shake that out. Now we'll do some squat suburi or sonkyo suburi. So slowly go into sonkyo, men, and then slowly up, down, slowly down, men, men, slowly up, slowly down, men, men, slowly up. So we'll do 10, just go at my pace. Ready, 100, slow, yeah, men, men, and slowly up, 1, down, men, men, and up, down, men, men, slowly, 3, down, men, men, slowly, 4, down, men, men, up, 5, down, men, men, and up, 6, down, men, men, and up, 7, down, men, men, and up, 8, down, men, men, up, 9, down, men, men, and yummy, relax, shake it out, shake it out. We'll do one more leg exercise. We'll do, let's see, 7 of these. So it's lunge, men, and we'll hit, every time we lunge, we'll hit a sai men. So lunge out, sai men, up. Next one, lunge, 2 sai men, up. Lunge, 3 sai men, 1, 2, 3, up. There we go. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up. So we'll do, actually, let's do 8. Let's do 8. And we'll use the same leg for the entire set. Okay, so let's come right. Ready? Lunge. Itch. And up. Lunge. 2 hits. Itch. Ning. Up. Lunge. 3 hits. 1, 2, 3. Up. Lunge. Itch. Knee. Some. Shape. Up. Lunge. Itch. Knee. Sun. Shape. Go. Up. Lunge. Itch. Knee. Sun. Shape. Go. Rock. Up. Lunge. Itch. Knee. Sun. Shape. Go. Rock. Stitch. Up. And last one. Lunge. Itch. Knee. Sun. Shape. Go. Rock. Stitch. Touch. And up. Yummy. Shake out your leg. And now we'll do the left side, left leg. Same thing. Ready? Lunge. Itch. Up. Lunge. Itch. Knee. Lunge. Itch. Knee. Some. Lunge. Itch. Knee. Some. Shape. Up. Lunge. Itch. Knee. Some. Shape. Go. Up. lunge. 1、2、3、4、5、6。lunge. 1、2、3、4、5、6、7. Up. Last one. 1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8. And up. Yummy. Finish off. So short breather. Shake out your legs. And then we'll finish off with just 30 high Suburi. Ready? Oh, let me just set this up. Ready? Hajime! 1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10、1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10、3、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10、1。Okay. Right. 深呼吸 in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. 収め、と。Oh, good, good, good. So we can go in and take a break. We'll start the next session in 7 minutes. 7 minutes. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. Wait, I want you to do the crunches again. That maybe I didn't explain it well last time.
Wait, which crunches?
Lay back. Because I did it again. And maybe it's because I did other exercises first. But bring your right leg up to 90. And then make sure your foot is flexed to like a 90 degree as well. And then same with the other foot.
Yes.
Or leg, yeah. And then okay, crunch your body, your torso upward so your shoulder blades are off. And hold your, kind of touch your abs so you can feel if it's okay. Now you're gonna nice and tight. Slowly lower your right foot, but keep everything at the same angle and have it touch the ground. Okay. Now do the same thing, but bring your head down as you lower your foot. Okay. And as you raise it, crunch your head up too. Yeah. Okay. I mean, not your head, but your abs. Yeah. Okay. That's one. Slowly, make it slow. Don't cheat. Don't go too fast. Keep everything at the same angle.
I mean, it's hard.
Crunch as hard as you can.
I'm tired.
Yeah. Because
it's hard.
If you keep your leg, like your knees and your ankles at that 90, as you lower, then you really crunch up at the same time. Like everything goes down and everything comes up. Yeah, it's not fun. Like I did just 5 and 5 and then like 10 and 10 or something, but it was after some other exercises. But that thing is brutal. Like you just do it slowly. Oh,
Yeah. No, it's
okay.
definitely hard.
Okay. That's the one I tried to explain last time, but I think I forgot the crunching part.
Ugh. Okay.
Keep having to go pee pee. I try to drink so much. There's Karen. She tuned in for a second, but she is like. I hear Desi. Hopefully he's not coming in to harass me while I do this. It sounds like he is though. Oh, yay, Lonny, you tried it? Where is he? Did you just try it or you just know those are bad?
Oh no, I tried it. It's rough.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think just keeping all the angles correct and like just having the correct form when you do it is kind of hard, even without doing very many. Cool. Thanks for doing it. What was another good one? That one was hard.
Hey, Mari. Did you just wake up?
Little Mari or Big
Well,
Mari?
I was watching the whole time. I just wasn't presentable.
I always wonder about you on the weekends.
I don't think I've ever seen her in like a tank top that are not Kendo clothes. Oh, actually, yeah, tank top. I've seen her in a t-shirt before, but I think it was Kendo t-shirt. Dude, where's Lonnie's outside?
There's so many kids at Garrett's place.
Wait, where's Garrett? Is it like regular practice at Garrett? Who is there? Oh, that looks, is that Miura?
I think it's hard to tell. It might be
That looks
Brandon.
weird. Really? Brandon can't be that big. He's not allowed to be that big yet.
Excuse me.
Oh no! It's Brandon. Oh no!
There's little kids next to him, so he's not that big.
They can hear you, kid.
Everyone next to him is like 3 foot 5 inches.
This giant.
Mikey, how tall are you?
6 foot.
He's counting the 2 feet on his legs. He's 4 foot. Dang.
Okay. We'll start up very shortly. Okay, so let's resume the seminar. For our second session, we'll have Roxine Kubo, my sister. She'll be talking about women's Kendo. So some background about her. She started Kendo at the age of 4 at Waipahu Seibukan Kendo Club. She's currently Yondan. She's won the All Hawaii State Kendo Championship Women's Division 5 times. She's placed 3rd for individuals and 1st for teams at U.S. Nationals. She's been a 6-time Team Hawaii participant at the World Kendo Championships. Got top 32 twice, got top 16 twice, and a Kantosho Award twice. And so she'll be talking about women's Kendo, and I'll hand it off to you.
Okay. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. So this was kind of an interesting thing. Braxton had asked me to go ahead and speak at the seminar, and initially I said yes. He's my baby brother. I'm going to help him out. Also, you know, it's good to try and keep Hawaii Kendo going. The second part of that was he asked me to speak on women's Kendo, and my first thought was, I don't know what the hell I'm going to speak about for women's Kendo, just because I am a female. However, my experience growing up was a lot different, I think, than a lot of the typical women you're going to find in Kendo. I was very much a tomboy growing up, and a lot of the girls that were in Kendo were probably about 4 to 6 years older than myself. So there weren't a lot of women in my age group. The closest people were going to be like the boys that were a little bit younger than me, which were, you know, Chris, Koja, even Andy folks. They're within a couple of years of me. So I really, growing up, didn't have that same concerns, I think. And then also when you're a younger person, the difference in physicality between men and women are not that noticeable. So anyway, with that being said, I had to think about what I'm going to talk about at this seminar. And I recently did tune into a Team Canada one where it was focused and geared towards women in Kendo. And that kind of jogged my memory. There are a couple of women in Canada that I think are very tough, and they had some of these concerns. And that kind of surprised me until I heard during the seminar the kind of concerns that they had, which were, you know, like actual physical damage. You know, they were actually getting hurt, but a lot of the guys in Canada are a lot bigger, so their concerns were still a little bit different from what I would have. But again, all of this kind of jogged my memory and reminded me of a time when I did have to kind of change my Kendo to accommodate the changes between males and females as we got older. Okay, so with that being said, let me swing it back to, again, touching upon growing up. All those kids were about my age, and because I was a tomboy, a lot of times I would say that I was either just as physically fit or even stronger than a lot of the guys in my age group with regards to sports in general. It wasn't just Kendo. So I also had a family that was very competitive. No one wanted to lose. We trained hard, not specifically as a thing where we're training, but like playing hard. So, you know, you play sports like football, you play baseball on the weekends, all of these things that help with coordination overall. Our football was never like a touch football. We would actually try and tackle each other. So it was training in the sense that you're getting physically fit. So that's kind of how I grew up. Even after Kendo, our Saturday practices, I think even a lot of these now sensei that were around at the time can corroborate that they learned a lot of the sports. I think, like even throwing. Chris Gooden is a good example. You know, throwing and catching a ball. That wasn't something he could do, I think, prior to our Saturday practices. After practice, we learned how to, you know, like toss a football or whatnot. So these are all things that I grew up with.
I'm still not that great.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, first time Chris threw a ball, I think he threw it at the floor. So again, you know, we were just a very sports-minded family, and it kind of bled over into Kendo, where we'd go ahead and do that with the students there as well. And then, okay, so then fast forwarding a little bit, actually, let me back it up. So with that being said, I think a lot of times when I did compete with the guys in my age group, you know, I would win. I'd win. And it wasn't until about 17 that the changes in the guys and girls were becoming more noticeable for myself. You know, the guys are getting stronger. They're getting a little bit faster. It was at that point that I took third. And that was kind of not a good thing for me. I wasn't enjoying that. So I did have to change how I thought about practicing. You know, the guys are going to use speed and strength a little bit more. I was still pretty strong, but I was not nearly as fast. So as the guys were getting. So what I had to do was kind of change my mindset and think about different ways to practice. And a lot of times that entailed different strategies, creating openings, creating openings, reacting or causing people to do things that I wanted to, so that I could do my best kendo and kind of guide them into what I wanted them to do. So these were things that I did as I got older. Other things I thought about when Braxton approached me about this was, attrition in kendo. That's another thing you think about when you're dealing with women in kendo. Like I said, there were not a lot of women that took kendo in my age group at the time. You worry about people quitting or not even wanting to start just because kendo's not that sexy kind of fun sport to do. It gets stinky. You don't have a lot of women that are already practicing, and when you do get a few women, it's a little bit harder to keep them around. So that's another thing that you think about for women in kendo. And then in later years, I thought about women in a different way. I always thought that we could do better than the guys teams from Hawaii. And that's where I started to change my focus and try and get the women in Hawaii Kendo a little bit stronger so that we could do well. Anyway, so any comments real quick about what I said so far? Braxton, you're pressing buttons.
Oh, am I pressing?
I don't know. It looked like it. No? Okay, so to address different things, women in kendo for attrition, that's I think one of the biggest things. People will start kendo, they don't see a lot of other women around, so then they don't want to stick around. To combat that, at one point in my life, I think it was maybe high school or early college, we did start up a group called HKF. It was Hawaii Association of Women Kendoists. And what was really nice about that was we had a lot of support from the guys in Hawaii Kendo. We had some events, and these were events to kind of keep a nice core of Hawaii women together, to have them become friends, get them to know each other, and also to provide them some competition between women. So we did things like we held a tournament for women. We held picnics, we held pool parties. And like I said, the guys, I still remember people like Jack showing up. I think the Fujimotos also came to a few events as well. My baby brother was forced to come as also. But these were fun times. You get together, you have some fun playing silly games. And I think that helped maybe keep some kids around, some of the women. We had people like Nicole, you changed her name, Chun, formerly Yoshida, and Megan, and all of these. So they had like a little bit of a core group, I think, that was able to stick together, or that were able to stick together for a little while. And I think those are things that can help to keep women around and interested. Just having a nice core group of friends. Same with what you guys were talking about earlier, where guys that are close together have competition, they're friendly with each other, but they still want to beat each other up. So you foster that attitude, and then it helps, one, I think, bring kendo up in Hawaii and make it stronger, but then also it's a good time with friends. You just want beating each other over the heads. So that's what I would talk about with fighting attrition. As far as women fighting with men, that's another subject that maybe came up at the Canadian seminar. There are different ways. You have to keep in mind that guys, oftentimes they think because they're stronger and faster, they're going to go ahead and just rely on that. So what women can do to combat that is just be smarter. A lot of women are still fast, so they can go ahead and compete with some of the guys with speed. Strength is a little bit different. For myself, I'm pretty sturdy, so it hasn't been much of a problem for myself growing up. But I have seen times in which guys get kind of upset. There was one case in Canada where she's not here on, she was on earlier, but Karen got a point off of a guy, and he was this huge guy, and he got very upset. And all he tried to do after that was just fly her out of the court. So these are things that, you know, some of the women I think might come across, but then you just learn ways to deal with it. You know, you learn techniques to combat their physicality. You might sidestep. You know, you might stand by the line on purpose, so they come charging at you, and then you just let them go out. You know, so different things. So you just have to, I think, as a female in Kendo, be smarter about things. You can think of ways to, I guess, kind of diffuse that kind of situation. So that's kind of, I don't know if you have any questions, some of the women in the group, as far as, you know, fighting guys, but that's kind of things that I employ. And like I said, just, I think that gives you an advantage overall, because you do have your own speed and strength against people that are your size, but then you have the added benefit of having been forced to think about different ways to compete against people that might be bigger and stronger than you. Whereas I think a lot of guys, they just, you know, they might be the same level of strength or speed, so they're not forced to think about these things as much. So I think that kind of gives the ladies an edge. And any questions so far? I get a little sidetracked, so I'm kind of peeking through my notes, but you guys have any questions while I peek through my notes?
So as far as, you know, a lot of women, they struggle with the strength part when dealing with men, or even with dealing with women from places like Europe. And you said, you know, you gotta be smart. You know, you have a lot of that natural intuition from doing Kendo for so long. What would you recommend the newer people, or people that are a little newer to Kendo? How would they develop that intuition?
I think that can be addressed in a couple of ways. If you're newer to Kendo, one, you know, obviously you have to practice, but two, you can do things outside of Kendo that will help with Kendo itself as far as building strength. In the last Worlds that I did, there's there's a thing that I absolutely hate doing. It's just I hate cardio, so I hate kakari geiko, and that seems to be like the go-to thing for any other practices. You know, they want you to get more cardio, they'll make you do tons and tons of kakari geiko. But what I did instead was I tried to work smarter, not necessarily harder at kakari geiko. So I did kind of cross training. I did things that were cardio but weren't as, I don't know, sucky, or they basically, it wasn't kakari geiko. So I did stuff like boxing, where it was high intensity, and you know, you go as hard as you can for short periods of time. And what I found was that at my last World, it was probably the most fit that I've ever been. I had muscles that I didn't have ever, I think, in Kendo, just because of all the upper body movement that I was doing through boxing. So different sports like that. I mean, I even did like more volleyball. You know, just anything that is fun that can force you to exercise or get more fit can be beneficial to Kendo as well. What I found actually, so at the time I'm living here in the mainland, so I was practicing with Team USA, and they were practicing a ton of days. And with me practicing maybe like 4 times a week and not doing as much kakari geiko as them, I was still able to handle it just fine. Like, it wasn't even a problem. It was the first time in my life where kakari geiko was not something that was like killing me. And I think it was because I was doing different kind of training that helped with the actual Kendo practice. So I think ladies that are new to it can go ahead and do stuff like that. Also talk to other people that might be in a similar situation. So like, you know, if they talk to more women that are experienced there, like, you know, Nicole's a very slim girl, but she's not, I don't see her getting pushed around too often. Nicole Chan. Megan's a little bit tougher, like physically. So maybe not the same situation, but talking to women with a little bit more experience and finding out what their tactics are, or strategies, are also going to help any of the newer girls. Like I said, a lot of times you can sidestep, and you wait till the last moment to sidestep. So little small techniques can help them kind of stay out of harm's way.
Cool, thanks.
That work? Okay. But again, yeah. So women in Kendo is kind of a weird topic for me, just because, like I said, I am a girl, but my experience growing up was a little bit different. I was also, like I said, guys were pretty much the only ones around my age at the time. So those were the people I had to compete with. I was never really afraid of them because I always felt I was stronger than them, and I could trick them into doing stuff that I wanted to when I was fighting with them. So I didn't have maybe the same kind of fear that I'm not even sure, like if some girls are afraid to fight guys, but that was never an issue for me. Like I said, as we got older and they got significantly bigger, you do worry about, like, okay, they hit extra hard or whatever. And they might be physical, but I always had those little tricks where for myself, it never really became an issue. But these are all things that other women can learn as well. And as you change from, say, a local competition to an international one, it also changes the dynamic between men and women. Where locally, I felt like it was completely fine to fight with our guys. As we got into more international competition, it did get a little bit scarier. Then, you do have concerns, because when there are like the elite men that you're fighting, yeah, that's scary. Like ridiculous, like, I don't know, a Japanese man, because their fighting style is going to be different. They've been practicing probably a hell of a lot more than you, or a Korean man or whatever, or even some European countries that might just hack at you. It then becomes a concern. But for myself, I want to say I almost felt more comfortable fighting against guys because I only grew up fighting with guys. And it seemed to me like women were trickier, and trickier and also softer. So you just felt, I felt like I didn't want to push some of these ladies around. And for instance, Canada tournaments, I always look forward to my open division, I think, more than being in the women's division. So my situation was a little bit different. I felt like the guys were very straightforward in how they're going to fight, like, because they just use strength and speed. So I kind of knew, I practiced long enough to kind of know where they're going to go, because it's all just straight. You're just trying to outspeed me. So, you just think about what to counter with. Versus women, they might be a little bit cagier in how they fight you. So that's kind of where I come from with fighting women and men. And as I want to say, as time went on, though, like, because I did start to see a little bit of a difference once I got to 17 years old, I did also work towards promoting women's Kendo in Hawaii. And I think a lot of that stemmed from me, again, having kind of that chip on the shoulder where women were just as good or better than the guys in Hawaii. So I wanted to kind of foster that same attitude in some of the girls that actually did remain. So creating the Hawk group to keep women around, letting the girls that were near my age know that they were just as good, not to be afraid of guys, and to kind of have a feisty attitude. I have a problem when women are too wimpy and they cry about stuff. You're in a sport that is a little bit rough, so go ahead and be tough too. And some people are softer, so just trying to get them to get that mental toughness and physical toughness to compete against anybody that they're presented with. Those are things that kind of work towards. As far as how other people treat women in kendo, that might be another issue that could be talked about in the future. But I remember we had a visiting sensei from Japan, and he was a very high-ranking sensei. And again, I had that chip on the shoulder where I felt like the women had a better chance of doing well. Not that the guys weren't going to do well at Worlds, but I just felt that at the time, the men's competition was very, very tight at World Championships. So to get farther for the guys would be a lot more difficult than it would be for the ladies team to get farther at Worlds, because the level of the women maybe in the rest of the world wasn't very high at the time. So anyway, the visiting Japanese sensei chose to spend almost all his time helping the men. And I was pretty annoyed at the practice and kind of disappointed, because I'm like, you're wasting your time. Like, you could be helping a group of kendoists that could, produce a lot more results if you'd only pay attention to us. So that was one, I think that's the only time that I felt like it was kind of a weird women versus men thing with sensei. It hasn't happened since, but I hadn't encountered that same sensei again, I think, at practice. But I think that's one thing that could be addressed if it's something that still occurs in Hawaii. But I think for the most part, Hawaii Kendo keeps women and men, or has women and men have a pretty healthy respect for one another. I think there are times when there are newer guys that, they just think they're dudes. So they might be thinking that they're stronger than women, but then they may be in for a rude awakening when they actually do fight them or compete against them. So, sexism and that kind of thing, I don't think is too prevalent in Hawaii. It's just more about getting people interested and then keeping them there as for women's kendo. And that's kind of what I have to say, I guess, about women in kendo in Hawaii or overall. I think Nicole has a question, or she may be high-fiving.
No, I wanted to add something. Sorry, I'm on baby duty, but yeah, I was one of those. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was one of those that grew up being inspired by you for the while we were growing up. When I first started kendo, I would see Roxine fighting the women's division, and she'd win first or something, and then she'd jump over to the men's division, and she'd be fighting there for one of the top places. So it was always inspiring to see that. I think me, Megan, and Audrey, our group, like you mentioned, we always looked up to you. But yeah, but like you mentioned, for mine, I was slimmer, I guess, and then I was like thinner, not as strong as you, so I had my own problems, I guess. So I think my only thing is I needed to accept that I needed to have a certain level of strength. But in high school, I didn't want to do that because I wanted to maintain like a girlish figure. So that was the hardest thing for me to overcome, realizing that, I couldn't bulk up any significant amount anyway, but just mentally, I didn't want to become bulky like the guys. But then that inhibited me and made it so I didn't get as far probably as Kendo. But I just wanted to share that I was one of those that you inspired.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Wait, that now explains why you never gained weight.
Yeah, I know.
Wait,
Yeah.
Nicole. So you've been very successful in the women's competition as well. And when you fight against me, I push you around a lot, and you fight against other guys, they push you around a lot. How have you countered that, being on the slimmer side?
Yeah, but Roxy said we had to learn certain things. Like, I'm gonna fight you differently. I'm gonna move differently. I know I'm not gonna try to take you on head on. So I learned to sidestep and those things. But for me, I needed a basic level of strength first. So I needed to make sure it was mainly like learning how to adapt to each person fighting. So that was good. I think for the last world tournament, Andy would have us do shiai on Sundays, and then the girls team also, because we kept going against each other, but he would have us go against the guys. So that helped us, and I guess in our mind, like, if we could take on the guys or fight the guys on even footing here, we'd have a good chance against the women at the world level.
Cool, thanks, Nicole. And then Nathan, back to you. As far as, I mean, you mentioned practicing with the guys a lot, and yeah, you mentioned practicing with the guys a lot. Do you think that that has helped you? Because I know a lot of women are somewhat hesitant with that, you know, especially in Hawaii, as far as like getting injured and, you know,
So
Kendo not being the same between men and women.
I think there are, I think that statement is true all around. Or many points that you just made hold true. So yeah, it's not the same Kendo, or oftentimes it's not, but you do fight some large women when you go internationally. So I think it's good practice. So yes, women are correct in saying it's not the same type of Kendo. However, I think fighting with guys does help a lot because they are fast, you know, they are stronger. So you learn how to deal with that, and you're ready for that if it comes to a situation where you're going to encounter these people. And I think overall, the women outside of Hawaii are going to be more physically challenging than they are in Hawaii. Like, we're very gentle in Hawaii. You know, when I did the practice with the Team USA here in California, a lot of times we do like butskari practice. Like, you just be like almost like sumo looking practice where we're just pushing each other like across the gym. You know, many times. So you're just going back and forth, doing that kind of practice. So on the one hand, maybe there are some detriments to fighting with guys. I think there's still a lot of positives, and that they should be able to mix it up. So when we were practicing, or when I was still back in Hawaii, we'd have practice with the guy. I feel like our world practices, we'd still practice with the guys and maybe break off with the girls, but it was a mix. And then in addition, Nicole, it was when Nicole folks were still younger and around, and I was on the team. We would have our own practices. So again, back to me being a little bit competitive and believing that our girls could do well. We'd have practice with Team Hawaii, but on the side, we'd actually schedule our own practices. So then at that point, you do get practice just against other women. And the thing is, in Hawaii, there are not a lot of people to practice with, like as far as women. So you have to kind of expand who you're practicing with. Otherwise, you're just gonna know how to fight like 5 to 7 other people. You know, that's not gonna help you when you're on a world stage.
It sounds like a mix is
good. I think a mix is good. Again, and it'll make the girls stronger, you know, physically stronger, smarter. You learn how to sidestep, you learn how to deal with people that are stronger, because I think a lot of the women, like I said, on the world stage are physically strong. Like, I think Mom said once that myself and the captain for Italy, it looked like a boxing match, but that's because she was pushing. So I had to push back, you know, like, so being fit enough to deal with that, I think, is also you get help by fighting with men.
We have about 5 minutes left, but I was wondering as well, what can men do for the women to help them out in, I guess, different ways? So in practice, you know, I see a lot of men, you know, they do move slower, they don't push, they don't follow through as hard. For me, I mean, I just treat them like they're any other guy or whatever. But you know, within practice, outside of practice, what can men do to help women?
I think one of the coolest things was just having the support of the guys. Like, even like I said, back in the day when we were doing the Hawks thing, having the guys come out was really cool, because you know that they're there to help you and support you. At a world tournament, I think once though, there might have been a time when, you know, the girls were helping the guys out, bring shinais and whatnot. By the same token, I would want that same support from the guys. And then as far as practice, I think you have to train hard, but maybe don't resort purely to brute strength. Like, you know, I think it's good practice for both sides, like the men and the women, to go ahead and, you know, practice their techniques against one another. And then after that's done, you know, kind of work on the physical attributes as well. And, you know, go ahead and you can push a little bit harder, you know, gauge the lady you're going against. And if they can handle a little bit more, go a little bit harder. You don't want to dumb down your practice so much that it's not helping you. But again, you can still work on technique. Like if you're the guy, work on technique. You know, you don't have to just push the lady around. I think it's a little bit different. Like I said, in Canada, like some of these really tough women that I was listening to their seminar, they got like legitimate bad injuries. You know, like they tore their Achilles or they broke a bone. You know, because some guy was just using physical strength against them. So I wouldn't say go to that point to try and push these ladies back home, but don't take them too cheaply, or don't make it so easy that they don't get a good workout. They don't get better. You know, you want to kind of see if you can find that nice balance of not hurting them and making them stronger. You know, so each time maybe a little bit harder for them, but you know, have that. I don't know. And the girls, by the same token, they need to be ready for that and push themselves. And then also recognize if you're kind of on the edge of an injury, then, you know, okay, take a step back, don't get yourself hurt. But you should almost welcome a guy that's gonna treat you a little bit more equal, because that'll just make your game that much stronger.
Oh, thanks. Do we have any last minute questions before we finish up this session?
Sure.
Yeah, I got a question.
Yo,
Is this on?
Yeah.
2 people.
Go Garrett.
Me?
Garrett, we can't hear you.
There's a microphone.
Maybe Chris?
Okay, it's working. Okay, sorry.
Whoa.
Two questions. One of them, like, how do you deal with men? First of all, they go strong that they know Kendo, and there's men that just starting to practice Kendo, so they think going hard is the you know, and then not having to understand that. So there's two differences when women challenge men with two different skill levels. And the second one is, why do all women in Kendo marry men in Kendo?
You're so stupid.
Excuse me?
Okay, I don't know if I totally got your first question, and the second one made me crack up. But sorry, so your first question was, how do you deal with like a beginner guy fighting you versus like an advanced, like an actual technical fighter?
Yeah, because you have someone who's skilled, they go hard,
Yeah.
but there's a difference between Seinembu going hard.
Yeah. Okay, so most times when I look at that, if you have like a Mudansha or Seinambu guy going hard, like they're just trying to hack at you. Like they'll go physically hard. So a lot of times the ladies will end up with bruises in really weird places, like all over the place. My suggestion is beat them really fast. Then you're not gonna get hit. Do what you can to try and get that match over with, because this person's just going to be like a poi pounder and just hacking at you the whole time. So, you know, get the right distance that you need to perform the hits that you want, because they might just be hitting, right? So whatever strategy you need to employ to get the right distance and just really kind of concentrate on making that first hit or two count. There are sometimes like people just don't want to stop, and so this is where strategy comes into play. Like there's times that they're going so nonstop that you might even sacrifice like a half point by stepping out just to go ahead and stop the match so you can reset. So there's a lot of small strategies you can do to stop a match if you really need to. So like I said, with people that are inexperienced and that are just kind of trying to hack the living daylights out of you because they think that's how they think that's what they need to win, you know, gather your composure, especially if you feel like you just got hit a lot, just gather yourself and create a situation or the right distance or whatnot to get your point. I think that's pretty much what you have to do. Just stay composed and do what's needed to get the right distance and finish that match as quickly as you can. As far as going against someone more, not more experienced, but more skilled, then it becomes a more even match. You know, it's just skill versus skill. You can, again, like I said, a lot of times ladies will have to think about different ways to create openings or to guide the guys into doing what they want. Like there are ways for me to get you to hit my men or try to, and I'll do that on purpose just so I can do like a kaishido, you know, so I'm setting up my hits and kind of guiding you into what I want you to hit so that I can do what I need to do. So I think that's just strategy, whether or not you're a guy or a girl. And the only thing is that I think girls have to think about it more growing up, just because at some point, strength and speed isn't the thing that's going to beat the guys. So there's that. And your second question, well, Nicole-chan, Kenton-chan, maybe because stink people got to handle other stink people. I don't know. You just, hey, you got to get your wife to do some kendo now. Yeah, but it's kind of funny. I think it's kind of interesting that there's been more than one occasion where I think people have found each other through kendo. Nicole and Kenton are one example there. There's another couple here that met through kendo, and I don't think they actually practice anymore, but they met through kendo and they got married. They just got a house. Lonny, I'm looking down this list. No, not Lonny. Oh, Elton and Dawn both do kendo. But I think Elton probably forced her into kendo.
Okay.
Oh, Fujimoto's. Oh, yes. Tina and Akiko. Yeah. So I guess there are quite a bit of couples here.
Okay, last question. We have answer this one in 2 minutes or less. Go, Chris.
What is your memory of your Santa Clara match against Japan? When I went to Santa Clara, that was your match was the standout from Hawaii.
That was individuals then, right? Not team.
I think it was the one where you knocked down the Japanese player.
Oh, that's so disappointing. Yeah. Okay. So.
The 2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes. Fast. So my match against what stood out was, I mean, it went. I think it went either close to Encho or Encho. I can't remember, but I knocked her down, and you usually get one hit after. So I did go ahead and hit men. I was so disappointed they did not call it.
You hit Gyakudo. I
hit Gyakudo?
Yeah, you hit Gyakudo.
Oh, well, then my memory is not as good as Chris's because I thought I hit men. Wait, that was before when she fell down?
Yeah, you hit Gyakudo. She blocked her mid. And then
okay, then I guess
didn't call it. But I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
Well, then I'm really sad they didn't call that either. But yeah, I just remember her going down, and you have to be. That's where, again, no matter who you are, just be feisty, man. You are allowed by the rules to have one hit. Go ahead and take that hit. You don't have to be that polite. Yeah. So that, I mean, there was that. You said what stood out about that? What stood out was I didn't get the point. That was sad. But it was exciting to have gone the distance, I think, with a Japanese person. And then I think same with another one. There was a Korean girl who ended up taking third or something years later. And I think I was the only one that went to Encho and didn't get scored again. Well, aside from the last point, but she beat everybody else 2-0. So that was B1, I think that was her name. She won third at one of the worlds. But yeah, those are kind of cool just because, again, Japan and Korea are pretty much the elite ones that you're going to fight at world tournaments. Anyway, I don't know if that answered your question because I was wrong about what I hit.
Okay, well, we'll end it right there. Overall, sounds like women are really strong, and just no matter who you're fighting, you can do well.
Yeah, be tough, ladies. Ladies back home, don't be afraid. Go beat up the boys. I think you guys can and should.
I completely agree. So let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll move on to our next session. That'll be with Garrett Matsumoto sensei, and he'll be leading a kids session. Okay, so we'll be back in 5 minutes.
Are you recording these breaks too?
The whole thing.
Oh, okay.
It's too hard to,
Turn it off and turn it back on.
yeah. Might not be that hard, but
The button. Where's Nicole? Nicole, where's your kiddo? She's still here.
Just climbing upstairs.
He's climbing? Oh, whoa.
It's funny. Women in Kendo marry kids in men in Kendo, then they have kids in Kendo, and then that's Garrett's session.
Oh, maybe. Oh, actually, that's a better answer. Yeah, the reason they do that is just so that there's Kendoists, people that can be forced to practice.
Yeah.
What better way to keep the population up?
Yep.
So Garrett's gonna hit you up to have more kids. Wait, let me see him. Wow, so he can stand and walk, and he's walking around, running around.
Yep, running around.
Man, how old is he?
Almost 2.
Wow. I think I
So
saw him.
I'm just
Oh man.
yeah.
Oh.
So I just run around all day, but I'm listening to all the things everyone's saying.
Wow. The last time I saw him was in the stroller, I think. At
the team workout.
Yeah. Oh no, it's too much activity. Stop moving. No.
I listen carefully to what Garrett has to say about kids in Kendo because he's coming up, Garrett.
Oh, that's right.
A lot of kids.
Garrett's got a lot of kids at his house, so.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess you're stuck in Kendo, poor guy. You have little do you know, here you are at a seminar, and you'll be practicing. Man. How's the team practice going? Or you guys have practice? No, you guys don't have practice yet.
No, I don't think there's team practice. Braxton, is there?
I think he went somewhere. PP.
no.
Oh.
No team practice yet. Wait, when is it was totally canceled, so the next Worlds is not till like
2024.
holy moly. Okay.
I know.
Oh.
But
Well, hey, you guys all got fit for a little while.
they
right
need to
side.
find someone to host.
Oh. 2024. I wanted to go to Paris and like hang out too. I'm bummed you guys aren't going.
Well, hopefully it's gonna be somewhere like Australia.
Oh, that'd be cool. You can see each of the scariest insects Desi could ever think of.
Oh yeah.
But then also koalas and
And kangaroos.
marsupials. South Africa. That might be dangerous.
Oh, I would go South Africa.
Yeah. Yeah. Where else?
Where's Garrett? So we'll get started in just about now. Hold on.
Well, that was quick. Okay.
Just 5 minutes.
Are we on?
Okay, we'll start up again. This session will be led by Garrett Matsumoto sensei. He started Kendo at the age of 7 years old under Yoshinaga sensei at the YBA dojo, which is now Kenshikan. He did take a temporary break from Kendo, but returned with his kids. and has been practicing for about 26 years now. He's Godan. He's the current head instructor of the Kinshikan Kendo Club and 3-time Team Hawaii representative for the World Kendo Championships, and also 1-time assistant coach. So I'll pass the floor off to Garrett. He'll be leading a Kendo kids session. Yes, go
Okay,
ahead.
thank you. Thank you, Fukutomi Sensei. Basically, we just like to focus on all the kids, and I know that that's something that would be the future for moving forward for anything, and especially for Hawaii. So I would like to, first of all, think back as when I started as a kid, and what did I like to do in practicing Kendo. So basically, there's only a couple of things as a kid, right? Like to have fun and like to win. And that's basically it. But what do we actually need for kids? It's pretty much keeping things simple, as senseis, keeping things consistently, not doing too much changes, and not explaining too much and having too much downtime, because they get, like you see there, they get rascal if I have them sit down too long. They cannot stay still. So it's always moving them, keeping moving. And right now, what I'd like to do is have a short interview with a couple of these guys. Well, actually everyone. So Randy can switch it over to this one. And what I'm gonna ask them is what they like about Kendo. They're gonna introduce themselves for their age, their name, and their age, and what they like to do about Kendo, and what kind of drills they like to do. You're stepping on the cord. Come, Toshi. You can hold the mic.
So I'm Toshiaki Saito. I'm 17, and I guess I like the friendships and the connections that I've made through Kendo. You know, I made a lot of good friends, and you know, there's a lot of friendly competition. I guess my favorite drills are the footwork drills, because I'm pretty good at those.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Takeshi Saito. I'm his brother, and I'm 13 years old. My favorite thing about Kendo is just doing something like physical over the weekends, since I don't really do any other sports. Favorite drill is probably like Hikari Keiko, because it's fun and, you know, lots of action.
Mikey. Thank you, Takeshi. There's Mikey.
My name is Mikey, and I'm 13 years old. And I like to do Ojiwaza. And
What do you like about Kendo?
I like how I can win.
Okay, good.
Hello, my name is Kaden. I'm 11. The thing I like about Kendo is just being able to do it with friends, making new friends. And my favorite drill is Jigeko.
Jigeko. Okay, good. Okay, talk louder, guys. Yes, talk louder.
My name is Hayato. I'm 11. One thing I like about Kendo is that I can hit people's heads without going to jail. And my favorite drill is Kakari Geko.
Geko. Okay.
Hi, my name is Leland Hara. I'm 11 years old, and what I like about Kendo is that it teaches you discipline. And my favorite activity in Kendo is also Kakari Keiko.
I'm Junsei Tanizaki, and what I like about Kendo is that it's not much about fighting. Well, there's fighting involved, but I think it's about doing martial arts, budo, and like learning to like respect others, your opponents, and also you can interact with Japanese culture, because even if you're Japanese, like if you live in Hawaii, it's hard to really interact and know Japanese culture, and I think this is a great way to do that. My favorite drill is kakari keiko.
Hey, very good, Jinsei.
My name is Brandon Matsumoto. I am 16 years old. My favorite what? My favorite drill is a new one, burpee suburi. And what I like about Kendo is the friendships and rivalry you make in Kendo. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, I think it's really important getting that perspectives from children, from kids, and understanding where their interests are and what they like to do. So, moving forward from that, I think being able to capture that, we know how to, kind of be able to do the exercises that they like to do, but keep the standard, keep the basics going. With that being said, since Brandon has his favorite exercise, we're going to start off with that first before everyone gets tired. So everyone can stand up. So at this time, we're just going to do some drills. You guys can move the mats back and then. So Braxton, if anyone wants to join along with them, this is called burpee suburi. So Brandon will explain first of all what the thing is. You guys can put the.
Let me make. First, you start with the push-up. Pick up your shinai, itch. 2 push-ups, itch, hey. 3 push-ups, itch, hey, san. 4 push-ups, itch, hey, san, shi. And we go 5 times.
Well, they go to 5, but actually it should be going up to 10. But we're just gonna do it 5 for now. Okay, everybody, get ready. Like, come right there. Spread out, spread out.
Somebody can go on the side of Brandon.
Get ready. Hajime.
So push up. 1. Hit. Itch. Hey. Itch. Hey. Start.
All the way down.
Itch. Hey. Start. Hey.
Like Brandon, all the way down there.
Itch. Hey. Start. Hey. Go.
Okay. Okay, good job, guys. I don't know, that was Brandon's new torture that he wanted to do. Okay, so we're gonna start off with just a couple of basic drills. You guys can catch your breath while we're talking. We're just gonna start off with a couple of basic drills, some Sudiashi drills. So we can go in 2 rows, 2 lines. All right, come right there. Come right there.
Come right there.
So just Sudiashi, coming forward and go around. All right, Hajime. Yeah. Yeah. All the way, go around. You get 2 rows, go around. Okay.
2 rows.
Okay. Just Sudiashi 2 steps and 2 steps back. Hajime. Keep on going. Okay, yame. Okay, so yame. So there's a couple of things that happen when we have kids when they move their feet, or actually anyone, they tend to walk, right? So they tend to step, and their left foot doesn't really come up quickly. So there are several things I like to use to keep that from bringing up their left foot quickly. And at this time, we're gonna use Kaden. We're gonna use Kaden and Toshi, and then Junsei. Okay, he's Arjun. Okay, and what this is these are resistant bands. You put it around their ankles, and they make sure that they have the correct komai.
Okay.
And as you go forward with good posture, as you go forward, the resistance band will bring up their left foot quickly. So they'll be able to have that step. Yeah. As far as going forward or back. Now, if they're bringing their feet too close, the band drops. So they know that their feet is coming up too close. Yeah. They don't have the correct distance. So being able to have the good spread, coming forward and then back. Okay, is what we're gonna do. So they're gonna do the same thing again. Everybody else can move on the side. 2 steps forward and 2 steps back. Do you have it? Okay. Just forward. Yeah. Okay, spread it out. So if you're too close. All right, hajime. Okay, you see how your feet is too close? It drops. Yeah, yame. Now go to the side. Face sideways. Okay. Okay, 始め。Yeah, okay, so that's just one of the things that I like to use to change up the basics and being able to assist them with moving their left foot up quickly. This is just one of those things. Okay. The next one we're gonna do is you can take it off. Extend 2 single file rolls. Okay. Okay. The next one we're gonna do. So Kaden will be the first one. Toshi and everybody line up behind them. Okay.
2 single file lines.
Yeah. Okay. Spread out evenly. So the next one they're gonna do is just Yumiashi. They're just gonna go forward and then they're gonna rotate out. And then the next one is gonna be Suriashi at an angle, and then left foot, and then right foot coming forward. Okay. All right. Yumiashi first, and then go out. Okay, stop. Yep. Now together at an angle. Okay, go. Next. Good. Very good. Right, that was the last 2. Okay, what I like to do right now is to accelerate that, and we're gonna use ladders. So we can grab the 2 sets of ladders, bring that out. And spread it out this way. Same thing. Oh, just use 1 then. It's too long.
Oh, yeah, this is really long.
Yeah.
Only need 1.
Come on this way.
Put that one on that side.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, just one.
We can angle it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so the first one they're gonna do is just holding Komai and then Yumiashi each one. Yeah, holding good Komai. Okay, and then the second one they're gonna do is gonna be weaving, making sure that they have their upper body is not moving, but just the body, the bottom, while holding Komai. Okay, and we'll go after that. So, okay, ready? Hajime.
Hey.
Okay, weaving. Go. Okay, next one is gonna be facing once away, going sideways, and go. Yeah, go. Hold the back. Go. Okay, change sides. Face me. Hold the back, Mikey. Hold the back. Go. Go. Just hold the back of this. Okay, for each one. Right. Good, come on, back straight, good posture. Hold the back, Kidding.
Oh my god.
Okay. Hey, last one. Holding Kamai. Left foot only. Okay. That's it. Bring your Kamai down.
They can hear you.
Yep.
Second one, hold it. Okay. In and out. In and out. Left foot. In and out. Yeah, I know. Good. Try it.
Come on, Kaden.
You think it's sad? Oh, nice.
Oh. Yeah. Mike. Watch your Kamai.
Okay, well, let's put that away. So as you can see, this just helps out just a little bit more for the feet work and balance. I think it will definitely keeps their energy level going and being able to use that energy. I think actually all Kenshi could be practicing something like this, but we might not all have that same agility and youth being able to do that. There's a couple more exercises I like to do. So this one is being able to have them move forward and having that resistance of being able to push off and accelerate as they do so. So in this first one, we're just gonna do 5 sets moving forward, men. And I'm gonna use different resistance band. So we'll have just maybe Hara Sensei. No. We just have the senseis hold it back. Okay. Hara Sensei will hold it one group, and not you, Hayato. Okay. So you guys will go so they can see. Yeah. And hold Kamai. And then Mikey will show just 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, man. Okay. So again, there's some resistance needed so they can push off and have that acceleration power with some resistance on them and then coming back quickly. Okay. So at this time, big 2 lines, guys. Okay. We're gonna have them do it 5 times each. Drip. See. Last one, go. Yame. Okay, switch. Switch. All right. Go. Okay, good. San. Shi. Go. Yame. Switch. Hey. Okay. Drip. San. Shi. Go. Yame. Who else didn't go?
Can we try that one next?
You didn't go.
He didn't go.
No, there's the last one. Hayato.
Matsumoto sensei.
Hi.
You remember when Hayden and I did that for you and you almost broke the rubber band?
That's only 4.
Yeah, you need 5.
Okay, so that's just going forward. What I also like to do is having them do a combination. So we'll have Brandon do that. At this time, there's several different thicknesses, and I'm going to use a heavier one. No? All right, we'll use a medium one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you make
the combination I like to use is going to be, watch out, stay back, please. So he's going to do 3 times forward, 3 times forward, and then, no, that way first. 3 times. Coming. Go, forward 3 times, go. A regular combo. Okay, now he's gonna face me and go forward and pull. Okay, yame na hiki waza. Yame. So that's just a couple of those things that we like to use by using the resistance band. And it looks easy, it's fun, but it's also tiring, very tiring. And what I also like to do is let them have fun too, and then see if they can hold me. So I'll let them hold me. Just no.
Y'all better drop them. Someone go under. Some people hold under. Everyone just.
Okay, ready? Oh, I cannot hold all these guys. Oh, they won this time. Okay. Okay. So that's just part of the things that we like to do. Now moving forward, getting more innovative and using different things to see it keep the basics going, but trying to keep their energy up and the interest with different creative ways of doing it. Anyone have any questions? Are we on?
Yes.
Oh.
I like the Garrett.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone have any questions? Oh, by the way, I do have the 3 kids also that actually I do have practicing Kendo. So I have JC, who is 21, Nick, who is 20, and then
me.
I have me over here. All right.
Oi, Yamaro.
Garrett.
Well, yes.
I guess how do you keep, you have a lot of kids. How do you keep all your kids continuing to practice Kendo and to really help the club grow?
I think it's a combination of different things. They be able to create that friendship, like what Junse had mentioned, liking the friendships and being able to, that competitiveness that some of these other ones have, that keeps them going. Just like how probably like most of us, if we started as a kid, we like to have that cohesiveness of our group and, have them continue Kendo together. So if you don't have it, I would say find that competitive person or and create that friendship. And that will be able to have that stickiness with each other. We like to do also our Kendo camp, which we couldn't do this past couple of years, Christmas parties, and just events outside of just doing Kendo helps them create that friendship and silliness that they have. But I think another good thing is like when we had Zach and Brandon and Abby going up to Canada and doing these certain things as a youth, that creates memories. And whether they continue Kendo or not, they'll always remember the youth to experience something outside of Hawaii, which is very important.
So thanks, Garrett.
Yeah, thank you.
So that'll be all for this session. We'll resume our next session in about 15 minutes. So that one will start at 11 o'clock. That one will be led by Randy Umetsu from Lihue, and we'll cover more about cross-training in Kendo. So we can take a break for now.
Yo, Garrett, folks, everybody. Why do I have no sound here? I have to go because it's almost like 3. I don't know what time it is here. 2. So anyway, nice to see you guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Roxy.
Oh, bye. Bye, Papa. Thanks, guys.
We'll get started with our next talk in 2 minutes. Hey, Randy, you all good?
I am all good.
Perfect.
Ready to go.
How's practice been?
Been good. I've only been able to go out once a week.
Mm.
But yeah, we have a whole bunch of new members too.
Oh
This
yeah.
is probably the most people that I can remember in the last many years that we've had,
Yeah. Us too. It's crazy.
which is good.
Yeah. Our Saturday classes are huge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But it's nice to finally be able to actually keiko and stuff and hit.
How was the first couple practices going back? Did you feel any like difference?
I mean, I feel rusty, but
Yeah.
body-wise, I feel fine. Just the eyes aren't too good, and yeah, just not able to see the openings quite as well. But overall, not too bad.
Nice.
Definitely harder with the mask though.
Yeah. Do you think the training that you did before, like this whole past year, has helped?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the thing that's limiting me is not my body.
Yeah.
It's just the mental side.
Yeah.
But how about we get started?
Cool.
So we'll start our fourth session now. Randy Umetsu will be speaking. So Randy started Kendo at the age of 14 at the Lihue Kendo Club on the island of Maui. He moved away for a while, studied abroad at the Ritsumeikan. Was
Yeah,
that?
right. I started on Kauai.
Yeah. You started on Kauai and then continued your training in Japan at the Ritsumeikan Moriyama High School, and also while working in the Akita Prefecture before coming back to Hawaii, and continues to train in Lihue. So he's a Godan, and he most recently represented Hawaii at the 2018 World Kendo Championship in Korea. So I'll pass on the floor to Randy. Go ahead.
Thank you for the introduction. I am Yodan, so working towards my Godan. Let me just figure out how to share my screen real quick, because I lost the home button. Just 1 second, please.
Can you do it?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I can. Well, thank you for the introduction, Kutomi Sensei. Really excited to give this talk about cross-training in Kendo. I've done a whole bunch of different sports throughout my life. I started off in competitive swimming when I was in elementary school and did that not all through high school, until my sophomore year of high school. I did tennis and also cross country and a little bit of weightlifting as well. More of the powerlifting sort for a very brief period. So I do have a kind of diverse background when it comes to different sports trainings. And that's something that I wanted to talk about today. And while the athletic side of Kendo is like only one small portion of it, I do think there's a great benefit for those who are, competing in Kendo, or looking to build their athletic capacity. And this can apply to even members or people doing Kendo as they grow older in life. Just where you start at might be different, but one person that I was listening to in, I guess, the sports science community was saying that, you know, we do all these athletic pursuits basically from like elementary school till we finish high school sports, and then after that our athletic training stops, or, you know, in college. But that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. We can continue doing that as we, you know, grow older. And a huge inspiration is a sprinter in the US Olympic trials that came in second in the 100 meters in one of the prelims. And he's 39 and ran under 10 seconds. And came in second at 39 years old. And he blew away a lot of the much younger competition. So athleticism is something that we can also carry in, with us as we get older as well. So if I can share my screen. Let's see. All right. Are you able to see it yet?
Not yet. Hold on.
Okay. Just 1 second then. So press that, and then that.
They do the share screen and
yeah, there's a lock on it. Okay, I guess I won't be sharing my screen. I'm rather not. Okay. I will not be sharing my screen, and I'll just be reading from my notes. So sorry about that.
Unless you want to send it to me real quick.
Let me just share it with you. Okay, I'm gonna share it. It's a Google Slides.
Okay. Okay, and then you can start talking, and then I'll try to pull it up for you.
Okay, so first of all is what is cross training? And for the purpose of this presentation, I'm gonna define it as training outside of the dojo that is not necessarily Kendo specific, that aims to improve some aspect of our Kendo. So for all intents and purposes, it's just training that doesn't occur at the dojo. For example, running, swimming, core training, HIIT, which is high intensity interval training, or training with weights. So why might we want to cross train? And this is something that has become, you know, very apparent over the last year, especially, is that, you know, our time at the dojo is not guaranteed. And even when we are back to full keiko, that time at the dojo is limited. So for example, Liu Hui only practices 2 times a week. And that leaves 5 other days of the week that we can use for for other training pursuits. You know, the situation might be different on Oahu, where you could technically train at your dojo and then, you know, go to other dojo throughout the week and maximize your kendo time. But for many of us, the time at the dojo is limited. Number two, it can help improve some of our physical weaknesses that we might need to work on or need to spend extra time on outside of the dojo. The third one, it can help with injury prevention and for kendo longevity, so we can continue kendo into our later years. The one example that I use cross-training for injury prevention, I guess, in essence, prehab, is my shoulders. So I know that shoulders, in kendo, we do a lot of overhead movements this way. And that's primarily working our front deltoids and then our mid deltoids, with not a lot of focus on our rear deltoids. And over thousands of repetitions of Suburi, now we have overdeveloped, you know, anterior deltoids and mid deltoids. So what can happen is you get, you know, rounded shoulders, or even you get shoulder injuries where your shoulder is kind of offset. So one thing that I like to do is spend some time during the week working on rowing movements or working my rear deltoids. Now, some people might spend their entire kendo career and never have a shoulder injury, but just for my overall health, and I've done, you know, swimming that uses a lot of shoulders and overhead movements as well, I know that's a common injury, and I kind of want to do some work to prevent that. And then finally, cross training can also potentially, you know, maximize our kendo potential. So cross training is not by any means a replacement for kendo training. It's meant mainly to supplement what we do at the dojo. So that's one thing that I would like everybody to keep in mind, that cross training is not a replacement for kendo training, but its purpose is to supplement what we do at the dojo. All right, so that moves into what are the kinds of exercises that I should do. And you know, there's not a whole lot of, I guess, sports science, at least in English literature, about what exercises are most effective for kendo training. I know that in the Japanese universities, they do experiments and whatnot to see what is the most beneficial, but there's things that we can take a look at that gives us a really good idea of what exercises are really good. And that is, you know, based on, you know, just personal experience and learning from others. So the concept that I want to introduce to you here, and sorry if this is a little technical for some of the younger folks, but is the principle of specificity. And defining that it's the benefits that we get from training are directly dependent on the specific type of activity, volume, and intensity of the exercise performed. And this is just one definition example of specificity. But what that really means is, in order to improve at kendo, we need to do kendo. You know, that's where the biggest benefit lies. So, you know, swimmers aren't training running all the time because they're swimmers. Runners don't train swimming all the time because they're swimmers. So the further we deviate from kendo training, the less, you know, direct benefits that we get. And that's one thing to keep in mind when you're devising your training program or choosing the exercises. We need to look at what are the attributes of kendo and decide from there. So let's take a look at some of the traits of Kendo. So for Kendo, I have a list of just 6 things that I just came up with. We need explosiveness. When we're performing our movements, we like to have them sharp and explosive. When we talk about fumikiri and fumikomi, it's not like a slow lunge when we're performing this movement. It's a quick movement. Even when we're doing strikes, it's ichibyoshi. It's one sharp movement. And for that, we need explosiveness. Kind of along with that is speed. And again, this is just the athletic side of Kendo. We need speed, that footwork moving quickly. We need coordination of our upper and lower body, so our upper and lower extremities. So having our legs and our arms and our upper body moving all together. That plays directly into kikentai no ichi, so the coordination of our sword, our body, and our spirit. In particularly for cross training, we can focus, on the coordination of our upper and lower body. We need balance. Along with that comes ankle stability. When we're moving around in the dojo, we've had times where we trip up or roll our ankle, and especially when we're trying to move quickly, we need that stability in our ankle and our balance. Conditioning for about 5 to 10 minute bouts with frequent intense bursts. And I define it like that because in Shiai, for example, we're going hard for brief periods of times, and then there's the semeai, and we're not relaxing, but at the same time, we're not going all out. It's not like we're constantly striking the entire 5 minutes. But for Kendo, that period of time that we're doing Kendo can last, even 15 minutes if we're just doing Keiko. So having conditioning for that period of time is important. And then lastly, I put general strength. General strength, pretty much just because it's a physical activity, and there's even some people that the bogu weighs them down in the dojo. So that just having the strength to lift your arms with your kote and the shinai on is important. So in addressing each of these traits of Kendo, I've added, some type of exercise that is appropriate for those things. So for explosiveness, how do we work on explosiveness outside of the dojo? For that, I have the example of plyometrics. So plyometrics, or commonly known as jump training, is where the goal of our training is to jump higher or jump farther. And we can do this pretty simply. One of the exercises that I do is simply doing a box jump, where for 5 repetitions, I try to jump as high as I can. And this training, it's really more of a mind to muscle connection and creating those pathways in our bodies, because we do have the strength there. Oftentimes it's that we don't try to jump high or jump far enough on a regular basis, that our body just kind of doesn't want to do it. So for explosiveness, plyometric training is a great example. For speed, I have sprinting. So sprinting, I do hill sprints is one of my favorite exercises. And that also crosses over into conditioning as well. So sprinting, the hill provides resistance because I have to push harder in order to go forward. Coordination of our upper and lower body. For that, I have the example of core training and Suburi. Core training in Kendo, which if I have time at the very end, I will demonstrate some of the exercises that I like to do at home, and I'll explain why I think core training is so important for Kendo. Then I have Suburi, of course, just Suburi that you might do at home, where you focus on the coordination of your upper and lower body. For balance, we can address that using core exercises, and then also through single leg exercises. The single leg exercises are one that I don't think is utilized enough in training, especially when you're doing Kendo. You don't use both of your feet at the same time. We're not jumping like this. We're jumping one after another. Even when we're moving laterally, you move one foot and then the other. So your feet move independently, and training them separately also has great benefits for the ankle stability. So that's for balance. Conditioning for 5 to 10 minute bouts with frequent intense bursts. I put HIIT training, and we do HIIT training or HIIT in the dojo. It's kind of disguised. Take kirikaishi, for example. When we do kirikaishi, it's an intense burst where we're vigorously doing sayu suburi, and that's followed by not quite a rest period, but a rest where you're receiving usually. So you can take that same type of training and you could do that at home. So one of the exercises that we do at Lihue Kendo Club is what we call the circle of pain. And we all form a circle and we do kirikaishi followed by 30 hayasuburi on rounds of 1 minute. So we all do kirikaishi towards the center, and then once we go back, then we do our 30 hayasuburi. And the intent of the 30 hayasuburi is to recover under load. So kind of to mimic a keiko or even a shiai, where there's an intense portion of it, and then there's a not as intense portion of it, but we're still moving. And then that interval provides a guideline for which we can work. So we'll do either 5, or if you're trying to train for taikai, for example, then we might even do 10 rounds of it to get that conditioning in there. Then finally, training for general strength, we can do things like push-ups, pull-ups, bent over rows, squats, Romanian deadlifts, for example. So these are the more typical exercises you would associate with a home workout. All right. Then one of the keys for cross-training is to make sure that we progressively overload. So this is another term, but that it basically means that as our bodies adapt to the training, we need to make it harder somehow. Otherwise, we're never gonna get better. So for example, if you're to do push-ups, then eventually you're gonna have to make those push-ups harder. You can either do more repetitions, or you can find some way to add weight to that, or you can do plyometric push-ups where you're pushing off the ground as hard as you can. But it's important when we're cross-training that we're slowly over time making it harder for ourselves so that we progress. For those who are looking for a low impact way to train, and this is can be important for those who have knee problems. I know my knee has been getting pretty sore recently, and especially for those who practice on concrete floors, over time that does wear on your joints. So for low impact training, there's swimming, which we're not contacting the ground hard at all because we're in the water, or cycling. So again, we're not contacting the ground, and it's low impact on our legs especially. And then we can take those same principles that I just mentioned with focusing on our Kendo traits, and we can apply them to swimming. So instead of just swimming long distances, we could apply HIIT to swimming or cycling, for example, where we're conditioning for intense periods and then lower intense periods. All right. Are there any things that you should avoid during cross training? And there's nothing that you necessarily need to avoid during cross training. I do think that everything that you do, or even exercise outside of the dojo, will have some crossover to the things that we do in the dojo. It's more of pros and cons kind of thing, and will we get our maximum benefit from these exercises if we do them? So in other words, is it appropriate for our Kendo training? And I have a few examples here. So very long distance running or swimming, or really anything that's you go over an hour for. And the reason for that, again, is we're using different energy systems in a 5-minute shiai, for example, than we would in a marathon run. So, and this is great for people that don't like to exercise for a really long time. You can do so in a shorter period of time. So I don't like to run any longer than 20 minutes, and I don't really see a benefit to training for a marathon for doing Kendo. Of course, those pursuits are great on their own, but as far as Kendo goes, it doesn't quite match up with our goals. So the same thing for powerlifting, for example. I did that for a few years when I was training in Japan. I didn't ever compete, but when I was lifting weights, my goal was to lift the most, during the bench press, squat, and deadlift. And of course, you do get stronger, but I don't think that strength carries over to Kendo as well as other types of training does. It made me very strong, trying to bend over and pick things up, or lie on my back and push things into the air. But those aren't the things that we're trying to do in Kendo. We can train strength in different ways. Olympic lifting also is another example of this. So for Olympic lifting, if you watch the Olympics, it's where they try to lift really heavy weights over their head. And a lot of people like to do this for athletic training because it trains your fast twitch muscle fibers, and it does allow you to become very explosive. But it's also super highly technical. And if you don't get the proper training for doing it, it can lead to injury where injury is not necessary. So again, to train explosiveness for Kendo, there are things like plyometrics that we can do that doesn't require the same level of skill or mobility that Olympic lifting does. So those are just a few of the things that I tend to avoid now, even after having done a few of those things myself. By the way, I was able to lift a lot more weight 5 years ago but I'm a lot stronger in Kendo now, doing the things that I do now. So I have a couple of examples of different training weeks. So example number one is on Monday, I would warm up with the agility ladder, much in the way that Matsumoto sensei showed us. Agility ladder followed by hill sprints, so running up a hill and doing 30 hayasuburi in between. Followed by light plyometric work, so jump training, usually just jumping around for about 5 repetitions with several minutes break in between, and then finishing off that workout with lunges or some kind of Romanian, single leg Romanian deadlifts. Tuesday, core training followed by katate suburi grip training. I like to do grip training at the end of pretty much any workout. Doesn't really matter because the grip training usually doesn't affect the training that I'm already doing. It's easy to add on to anything. Wednesday would be keiko. Thursday would be rest. Friday, a hayasuburi hit circuit followed by ashisabaki drills. Saturday could be rest. Sunday would be keiko. Example number 2, Monday is core training, followed by focused hayasuburi. So hayasuburi where I'm focusing on different aspects of my swing, trying to take the tension out of my right hand, trying to coordinate my feet and my arms. And the reason why I like to add in kendo aspects into all of my training is to remind myself why I'm doing that training in the first place, is to bring it all back to kendo. So even for after the suburi, if I did these single leg foot hops where I'm pretty much just jumping up and down on one foot, I'll hold my shinai at the same time and try to keep my shinai stable. And the foot hops is to build, calf strength and tendon elasticity. Tuesday, plyometrics. Wednesday, keiko. Thursday would be my leg day plus a light core session. Friday, circle of pain hit at home, followed by a push and pull workout. Saturday, rest. Sunday, keiko. So all of that kind of sounds like a lot, but cross training is really what you decide to put into it. And you could, for all of those things, you could just have a shorter workout or just do less exercises. But you can get benefits from cross training just doing, an additional 1 day per week in addition to keiko. But I guess the point of this whole presentation was to kind of give you ideas for how to think of your training and to have a purpose for when you're cross training outside of the dojo. I'm not a big fan of just exercising to tire myself out. I like to have a reason why I'm trying to tire myself out. So I tend to stay away from workouts that, I'm just doing sets and sets of hundreds and hundreds of hayasuburi, for example. I like to have a specific purpose for what I'm training on that day, whether it be the explosiveness, the conditioning, balance or whatnot. And that pretty much brings it to the end of my presentation on cross training for Kendo. I think I'm out of time. I was gonna show you a few exercises, but I will open it up for questions now.
Randy, are there any drills in particular, specific drills that you found particularly helpful?
Yes, and I mean, most of those are core drills. And I guess I will quickly demonstrate a few. So
we have some time.
Okay. So the three things I focus on for core is for core stabilization. And looking at the primary function of our core is to resist motion rather than create it. So preventing the spine from flexing or extending backwards, preventing it from rotating sideways, and then for preventing it from laterally flexing. So for anti-extension, I do a ton of just plank variations. So here, you know, putting my arms out and keeping my core so my back doesn't extend. I'll do like ab rollouts, which is anti-extension. So here, just trying to keep your spine in line. My favorite one that I've found really helps to keep me really strong at Subazeriai is using this band, an exercise band. And I do an exercise that's called the pull-off press. So this band, the more I load it, it's trying to pull me towards the door that I have the band attached to. So from here, I'm pushing it out. And as my hands go out, my torso is trying to rotate in, and I'm trying to keep my core stable here. And this is a really easy exercise to load because all I have to do to put more load is take one step further from the door. So I can challenge myself by adding more bands or just stepping further from the door. And I found that Subazeriai especially, I have a really strong foundation, especially since I'm standing while doing this exercise. I'm grounding myself at the same time. And you know, when people push you at Subazeriai to try to get you off balance, I found that it's really helped me stay more stable. Then with that same band, I do just an overhead press. And this is trying to pull me now this way towards the door. So I have to keep my core stable while pushing this overhead. And all of these exercises have a direct relation to our movement in Kendo, because when we're moving on the side, we have to keep our torso right above our legs. And when we're hitting, you know, we're trying to keep our torso right above our legs rather than let our upper body lead. And those are three of my favorites that I feel have helped my kamae for sure. And then my stability at Subazeriai.
Cool,
Any other questions?
Okay, any other questions? All right. So I think we'll end the session there. Thank you so much, Randy. We have one last session that'll be led by Goya sensei. So that'll start in 8 minutes. So we'll start up again at 11:45, and that'll be a advanced Suburi session. So I believe if you'd like to get a shinai at this time, feel free to get one. All right. Thanks, Randy.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Unless you guys want
Thank
to,
you.
but for the kids,
Sorry, who is that?
yeah.
So Braxton, you can tune in to my zone for Goya Sensei's sister.
Oh, okay, okay.
Oh yeah, he could hear. Oh, can you? Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We'll get started in about 1 minute.
JC.
Are they gonna be hard? Not hard.
No, not too hard.
Not for you.
Yeah, let's get started. So the last presentation will be by Goya sensei. A little bit about him. He started Kendo at the Orange County Buddhist Church in Southern California. He's been practicing Kendo for over 30 years and is currently Godan practicing at the Kinshikan Kendo Club at this time. So Aki will lead us through a set of Suburi exercises. And go ahead, Aki.
はい、皆さんおはようございます。建築館道場のゴヤ義明です。よろしくお願いします。Okay, so I'm going to be talking about advanced Suburi. Now, personally, I believe that the objective of doing a Suburi should be to strive to do a perfect Suburi. And as many of you guys know, it is nearly impossible to do a perfect Suburi because there's so many details involved in doing a Suburi. So today, as we go through these Suburi practices, I want everyone to take into consideration all the experience, all the knowledge, all the senses that you learn from, all the magazines, all the books that you read, all the YouTube videos that you watch, and try to strive to do the most perfect Suburi by the end of our session today. Okay, now there's this old saying that goes, practice makes perfect. But there's also a saying that goes, perfect practice makes perfect. And that is going to be the overall theme of today's session. So strive to do every little thing perfectly. Now, before I begin my Suburi, I always like to start off with priming my footwork. What do I do with priming my footwork? Brandon, could you lower it so you can see everything? Can everyone hear me fine? Okay. Okay, so I usually begin in Kamae position with my hands on my waist. I like to focus on my footwork. I don't like holding the shinai at this point right here because the moment I hold the shinai, my weight distribution is already thrown off. So in Kamae position, keep your feet shoulder width apart. Just like in standing position, I believe that this is the most balanced position that we can be in. From this standing posture here, we could always move in any which direction. And same with Kamae. I try to have a good Kamae with my footwork where I can move in every which direction at any given moment. So for the beginners and intermediate people, these are some points that I don't necessarily think about now when I do my suriashi, but things that I'm consciously aware of. But just for the sake of beginners and intermediate people, I'm just going to go over some basic points here. Not everything though. Make sure that your left foot is behind your right heel. Make sure that your feet are shoulder width apart. Now, when you push off, make sure you push off with your left foot. Push off with your left foot. Make sure that when you do go forward, that your toes don't come up. I don't want to see the bottom of your feet. Make sure that your toes and knees are facing your opponent at all times. And also, make sure that your feet, when you do suriashi, are going in a forward motion. When you do your hikitsuke, some people have a tendency to bring their left foot, sorry, from this angle. After you do your hikitsuke, you have a tendency to move it in a different direction. So you might push off and it might end up here, or when you push off, your right foot goes off to the side. So try to keep your feet going in a straight direction when you do suriashi. Now, these are points that I've been doing this for so long and so many times that I don't naturally think about these things. They just come naturally. The points that I do think about when I prime my footwork are, one, using my koshi, right? Before, when I was younger, I would just do kind of just push myself forward, right? But now I try to use my koshi when I do suriashi. Make it more direct. The other point that I think about is at Kenshikan Dojo, we have really nice floors. So I often like to think about kicking the floor back with my left foot and pushing my right foot forward. Pushing my right foot forward with my left foot. That's what I think about versus when I was younger, I often thought about stomping with my right foot and getting the strike together. That was my priority for when I did my fumikomi. And in the process, I kind of dragged my left foot behind when I was young. But now I like to push my right foot forward with my left foot. But the biggest part that took a really long time for me to understand is the weight distribution. I try to have 50% of my body weight on my right foot, 50% of my body weight in my left foot, but not just the weight on my right and left, 50% leaning right, 50% leaning left, 50% leaning forward, 50% leaning back. When I do suriashi, and I don't mind if you're standing and you're practicing the footwork at this point, we will do it together, but I do want you to kind of get a feel for this. So in your standing position, what I like to do is before I move forward, I weight shift about 60 to 70% of my weight into my left leg. I'm gonna over exaggerate it here a little bit, and then I push. And then the moment I push forward, I feel like I have 80% in my right leg, 20% in my left leg, and then I bring it back to 50-50. When I first started this, it helped when I just had 60 to 70% of my body weight and my left leg, and then I do a suriashi and just maintain that same weight distribution, and I'll keep practicing that way. Now, I feel very comfortable doing this, so as soon as I'm in kamae position, I'm at 50-50 so that I can move in every way. If I'm gonna do a sasoi waza, or if I'm gonna draw them in, I could always move back. But I try to have 50-50 to begin with, and the moment I push forward, I weight shift about 60-70 to my left foot, and then I reset at 50-50 and do it again. And so we're gonna start from there. I'm gonna have everyone stand up, keep your hands at your waist. Let's get into kamae position. Now, if you're a beginner, get used to the movement and think about those things I was talking about first. If you're more intermediate advanced, think about one of those higher level points about pushing your right foot forward and the weight distribution. When I say mae, we're gonna move forward. So let's begin. Have about 50% of your weight in your right, 50% on your left, or 60-70 on your left, 30-40 on your right. Here we go. Mae. Reset. Get that weight distribution again. Same thing. Mae. Same thing. Reset. Mae. Good. And then we're going to go backwards. When I say ato, we're going to go backwards. Ato. Same thing. Reset. Have that 50-50 weight distribution. We're going to go back. Ato. Ato. And then we're going to go mae. 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 Ato. 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 Okay. So that's kind of how I prime my footwork before I begin my suburi. Now, over the course of this session here, I'm going to be giving a lot of information. I just want to make that point that when you do suburi, there's a lot of things to think about. So we have to practice over and over and over. Include your experience, all the information that you know when we do these suburi practices. So I'm gonna have everyone pick up your shinai. Let's get into the suburi portion here. Don't forget the footwork part. All right, here we go. Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna take, is it okay? Thank you. Okay, the suburi that we're gonna do is zenshin men. Zenshin men is just from kamae position, men, and then we're gonna come back to kamae. One of the most basic suburis that we practice at our dojos is always zenshin kotai shomen, which is just a straight men, men. But keep in mind that when you do those suburis, that's actually two motions, right? Another suburi that we often practice is muchi sankyodo. Ich, ni, and then san, which is the very basic men. But I like to practice zenshin men. At the end of this, I'll put everything together and it'll make sense why we're practicing this. So zenshin men, essentially when we practice, I'm gonna go ich, men, and then come back to kamae. Ni, men, and then come back to kamae. So here we go. Let's begin. Taito, nuke, to, like my dip. Okay. hold on, ma'am. Should I be here? Okay. So some things for beginners to think about. These are the basic things a lot of senseis will tell you to do. Like I talked about in the very beginning, left foot behind your right. Make sure that, hold on, you guys keep moving. Okay, so make sure that you push off with your left foot and you go in a straight line, straight line. Don't forget about your hikitsuke. After you push off with your left, bring your left foot right up. When you do your suburi, make sure that your left hand is at the bottom of your shinai, at the base of the shinai. These are beginner tips. Make sure that your kensaki, whenever you hit men, you're always consistent with hitting the same spot, every single men. Make sure that you cut in a straight line, right? Oftentimes you see some students coming in from the side. Okay, so those are beginner tips. Now, but if you're truly a beginner, I'm gonna stress that you just get used to the movement. Once you get used to the movements, your sensei will instruct you with the smaller details. So just get used to the movement. If you're like a beginner intermediate, focus on what we just talked about right now. If you're advanced, these are more the higher level things that I want you to think about. Make sure that when you strike, well, hold on. Make sure that when you do your furikaburi, that your left hand is about a fist away from your forehead. Make sure that the tip of your shinai is about 45 to 90 degrees, but doesn't tip below 90. Make sure that after you strike, that you're fully extending your elbows and your wrist. The tip of your shinai, you always want to imagine that you're hitting someone about your height. In the dojos, I believe that's true, but when you're at your home practicing, it's good to practice people of different heights. So when you see me do suburi, I might end up hitting up here just because that's what I'm used to. I'm 5'7". Most of the people that I do shed with are a little bit taller than me. Another point that I would like to make is use your koshi to thrust forward for the strike. Use your koshi to thrust forward with the strike. Maintain your kamae. So from here, oftentimes you're gonna see a lot of people that are up here and their elbows are too wide, their elbows are too narrow. Maintain your kamae until the very last moment here. So from here, kamae, 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 kamae. The moment you strike, you extend your elbows and your wrist. Now, the other point is metsuke. Make sure that your eyes are locked on to your opponent's eyes. When you're practicing by yourself, this is where you have to kind of visualize. So I'm giving you guys a lot of information. As I mentioned, if you're experienced, you have more information to add to this, include this in part of your Zenshin Men. These are just some points I want you to think about as we practice this suburi. So everyone, kamae, we're gonna go Zenshin Men 10 times. Give it your best, incorporate all the other things I didn't talk about into your suburi, and try to do the perfect suburi. Like my dip, Zenshin Men 10 回. Hajime, 1. Don't forget to say men when you strike. 2. Thank you, Tina. 3. Sheep. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Like my dip. Okay, relax. Okay, so when you do Zenshin Men, try to make corrections every single time you do your suburi. Now, I understand that for a beginner, it's really difficult to know if you're doing it right. Try to make one correction. If you're doing 10 suburi, beginner, intermediate, or if you're advanced, really consciously thinking about what you're doing, try to make one correction in the course of the 10 suburi that you do. When I do my Zenshin Men, I usually make about 4 to 5 corrections. So for example, if I go one time, oh, I didn't push hard enough with my left foot, so I try to do that for my second one. Oh, I didn't grip hard enough with my left hand. I didn't snap it hard enough. So the next one, oh, maybe my kensaki didn't hit where I intended it for it to hit. So make these corrections as you go with every suburi that you do. Okay, now we're gonna continue doing Zenshin Men. I'm gonna add 2 points. 1 point is pushing off with your left foot. And your second point is to cut faster after you do furikaburi. So you come up, swing faster as you come down. So push off with your left foot and cut faster for the strike. So think about all those things we talked about with the weight distribution with our footwork. Think about all those basic points that I talked about in the very beginning about just doing a regular Zenshin Men. Incorporate all those other things that I didn't talk about that you know of. But I want you to emphasize these 2 points, pushing off with your left foot and cutting faster after the furikaburi. Okay, we're gonna go 2 sets of 5. The first 5 we'll do together. The second 5, I'm gonna watch you guys. Aikamaite, Zenshin Men 5 回. I'm gonna be at an angle this way. Please don't hit me. はい、始め。1、2、3、4、はい、ラスト、5、はい、構えて、hold your 構え。Okay, relax. Okay, how do I see?
Oh, wait.
Okay, here we go. Everyone, 構えて。全身面5回。始め。1、2、3、4、はい、ラスト。5。Good. Okay. Relax. I will say 1 point. This is just, I often see this in general. When you do your furikaburi, after you do furikaburi, you want to try to extend your elbows and your wrists and try to get as far as you can. You're often going to see a lot of this, right, where your left hand is up. Make sure that it's always up in front of your forehead. But the other one that I commonly see is when you do your furikaburi, I see a lot of students drop their elbows and then they hit this way. So it looks like this. Up here, like that. Up here, like that. So from here, extend straight up your elbow and then go for a men. It becomes a push men. The opposite is also true. You're gonna see a lot of students where from here, you're gonna bend your elbows here and then go up and then men. So it's gonna look like this. So from here, naturally maintain your kamae, go up to your forehead and then men. So remember that point. The second thing I'm gonna add. So we talked about the footwork, we talked about the basic Zenshin Men. I added that 1 point, I'm sorry, the 2 points, push off with your left hip foot and swing faster for the cut. The second point that I'm gonna add, or the second 2 points, same thing, push off with your left foot. And once you strike, men, kyo nukanai koto. From here, maintain your guard all the way down to kamae. So you strike, men, maintain your guard all the way down to kamae. So don't forget your footwork, basics of suburi, cut down faster. After you strike, maintain your guard until the very end. Hai kamae de, zenshin men, 10 kai. Sorry, 5 and 5. 5回。始め。1。Maintain your guard. 2. I'm going to go at an angle. 3. 4. Maintain your guard to the very end, until the very end. はい、ラスト。5. Okay. Like my dip. Okay, relax, relax. Can I see everyone? Okay. Like my dip. Let's go 5 more. 全身面5回。 Hajime, ich. Ni. Sam. Sheep. Last one. Go. Hey, kamae. Maintain your kamae. Okay, relax. Okay, so everyone did very good. Just some general points. Make sure your kansaki doesn't drop too low. Make sure your left hand comes up to your forehead. And make sure you fully extend your left hand. But don't forget, push off with your left foot. The third point I'm gonna make is using your left hand as a kirite. Now, we talked about our footwork, all the basics of Zenshin Man. Cut faster. Next one is maintain your guard until the very end. Kyo nukanai koto. Last one's gonna be using your left hand as a kirite. So for example, Tino, onegaishimasu. Okay, you can put your shinai down here. Can you see? Okay, so when we practice Suburi at our home, we practice hitting someone about your head height. You aim for the ear or the eye, but I want everyone to use your left hand here to cut down to the chin, right? So when you do your Suburi, you should have that little bit of that bounce from here, bounce, and then come back. Maintain your guard until the very end, same thing. Sorry, I wasn't looking. But cut down to the chin, make sure you have that little bounce. And now why is this important? This is important because this is where tenoichi, we can really feel tenoichi. Now, when I do my fast mens, this is really the movement that I use. So for example, I hit here in the head, and then I use my left hand, tenoichi, to cut down to the chin. Is this movement from here to here is what I use for fast mens. So when I do my fast mens from here, it's really just that small little movement because I've learned how to, or I'm working on using my left hand as a proper tenoichi. So that's what I want us to practice right now. So recap, swing faster when you cut, maintain your guard until the very end, and when you hit, using your left hand or your tenoichi to cut to the chin. All right, here we go. Aikamae de. Zenshin men 5回。始め。1、2、3。Let's go at an angle. Sheep. Go. Aikamae de. Okay. Maintain your kamae. Let's go Zenshin Men 5 more times. Hajime. 1. 2. 3. 4. Last one. Go. Hey, kamae de. Hold your kamae. Hey, relax. Remember, we're not just thinking about kirite, cutting down, maintaining your guard. We're also thinking about doing every little thing that's included and just doing of our ability. A lot involved, so don't give up until you come back to kamae. But even if you're here, try to still maintain your guard. Okay. Last one. This is where we put everything together. Last one is, for Zenshin Men, semete utsu koto. Semete. So you're going to go seme, 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 men. Come in at an angle from kamae position, seme, men. And then come back to kamae, maintain your guard. Seme, 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 men. And then come back to guard. Now, the reason why we're doing so many Zenshin Men is because I wanted to make this point. We finally got to this last point that I wanted to talk about. In your dojo, you're gonna have people that are really good at doing Suburi. You watch them do Suburi, you can't even see that there's something wrong with their Suburi. It just looks so nice. you're gonna have people that can do waza very well during yakusok keiko. Yakusok keiko is promise kendo when essentially you have a motodachi and you practice, you know, the motodachi, you already know what they're gonna do and you let them practice waza on you. Aiuchi men, degote, nukido, and they look really good. They can do it. They got the footwork down, the timing down. But even if they're good at suburi, they're good at waza-ren, they fall apart when it comes to the promotion exam. They can't carry that over to jisen, the real life application when you're doing kendo, jigeko, or even shiai. And I think the problem lies is that we have a hard time connecting basic suburi, basic waza to jisen, the real life application during shiai, promotion exams, and during keiko. Because for example, right, we've been practicing Zenshin Men this whole time. Imagine if I did Zenshin Men in a shiai, right? So Zenshin Men like we've been practicing, if I practice like that in an actual shiai or during keiko, the moment I come up, I'm gonna get hit kote, right? They're gonna know I'm coming because I'm doing such a big swing and they're gonna do kai, right? They'll be able to tell. So it's hard to make that connection between the regular suburi that we do and the real life application. When we do waza-ren, how do we practice Zenshin Men in actual keiko? The way we practice it is we take a step in and then men, right? That's how we practice it. Imagine if you did that in a shiai. The moment we step in, the opponent's gonna know you're coming in. Before you even get a chance to raise your shinai, you're gonna get tagged with that kote, right? The moment you step in and you try to do that men, your opponent's gonna know they're gonna do kaishido. They're gonna know. So it's hard for us, even though we're practicing basic men, taking a step in and men to connect it to jisen, to real life application during shiai, promotion exams, and keiko. This is where I wanna show you guys, if we were to utilize a basic Zenshin Men in a shiai, how would we do it, right? It'll look like this, right? Everything that we talked about, seme, 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 men. So the Zenshin Men was semete utsu, from kamae position, seme, 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 men. Real life application, Zenshin Men, seme, 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 men. We practice them the exact same way. Think about this. The kirite that I asked you to do, utilizing from here to here, making sure that after you strike, you cut down to the chin, is the same what I do for seme men, right? Not a big men, not a big suburi anymore. I'm just doing a small suburi. Now, there are some people, some senses that teach students, okay, when I was younger, I didn't see the benefit of doing a big suburi because you never do a big suburi in a shiai. It never works. I always saw my senpais, my brothers, whenever they did shiai, it was always a small men. And so I started practicing just doing a small men, but because I neglected to practice a small men with a big suburi, I was using a lot in my right hand. So practice doing tenouchi with a big suburi, just that last part to cut down to the chin, because when you try to apply it in real life, it'll come in handy, seme, 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 and then you'll be able to hit that men. So essentially, I'm trying to say is just connect suburi, basic suburi to jisen with keiko and shiai, promotion exam, same thing with your waza, try to connect it to jisen. Ai, kamae semete, men, semete, men. Here we go. Let's go 10 times straight. Zenshin Men 10 回. Ajime. 1. 2. Cut faster, coming down. Maintain your guard until the very end. 3. Men. Push off with your left. Sheep. 5. Look. angle. 7. 8. 9. はい、ラスト。はい、構えて。メンティンに構え。おさめ。と。3 steps back. Shinai's down. Deep. Okay. There's Furukawa Sensei, Hanshi Hachidan from Hokkaido. He says, seme with your feet, and strike with your hips. Seme, and strike with your hips. So always remember, push off with your left foot, and don't forget to try to make sure that your suburis, your waza renshu, are applicable to jisen, shiai, promotion exams, and keiko. Try to get into that mindset, especially if you're going from that transition from intermediate to advanced, and that will improve your shiai and your jigeko much more. Okay, that concludes my session. Arigatou gozaimashita. In fact, any questions?
Oh, thanks, Aki. That was really good,
Okay.
Aki. So that concludes all of our 5 speakers. Thank you to all of our speakers who were willing to come by, share their knowledge with all of us. Definitely learned at least one thing from all of you, and hopefully, everybody here, picked up a few things that they can bring back to practice as we move back. So, with the quarantine regulations easing, hopefully we'll see everybody at practice soon, and hopefully we'll be able to practice together again. Did anybody have any last questions? Anything to say before we finish? If not, thank you. Enjoy your Sunday.
Thank you, Braxton, for hosting. Kristen Braxton.
Enjoy your Sunday, and we'll see you around.
Thank you very much. Very nice seminar.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Chris.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey, Aki, I got a question.
Yeah.
How tight do you hold your left hand when you're doing the suburi? You said one of the things.
How tight do I hold my left hand?
Yeah, you said one of the things you catch yourself on is maybe you held the shinai not tight enough. How would you describe the tightness?
More so how I grip my shinai, right? I do consciously think about that. For example, just the basic stuff. I played around with where I hold my left hand with my shinai. But definitely, right, the ones that you hear often are hangake, where you keep your pinky halfway at the bottom, or you keep it at the base of the bottom. You watch people like Nishimura, for the former All Japan champion. He holds it up a little bit higher because he likes to use the fat part of his hand to be able to push off this way a little bit more. So there's variations, but what I found is using hangake. So I think more about the grip. Definitely, you see the center line right here. I try to do the V. My thumb touches my index finger here with my left hand. With my right hand here, I like to touch the top of my middle right hand. Now, one thing when I do my suburi is I try to keep it balanced. I like to keep it maybe about like 50% gripped. When I was younger, I always hated that feeling when sometimes unexpectedly your opponent is just gonna slap your shinai down. Especially in taiatari, you're gonna see this more often where people just kind of slap your shinai down. I don't ever wanna lose my shinai in those positions, so I try to keep it 50% tight. But it's always at that last moment that I try to use that snapping motion. That's when I really put my grip in there. I think if you keep it too tight to begin with at all times, you're just gonna fatigue yourself with your arms and your shoulders. In terms of percent, yeah, 30 to 50%. Depends on my mai too, right? If I'm really close and about to strike, Matsumoto sensei, desu ka? I might grip a little bit tighter just because I know go down, right? But from here, I'm a little bit more relaxed. This is where I'm looking maybe 50-50 on my footwork. But when I'm in, and I know from here, I could strike with isokito, then I put weight shift a little bit more on my left leg, a little bit tighter on my left hand because I could also get a harai in between. But it also depends, it's situational, how tightly I hold my left hand. But my right hand, I really don't use it that much at all. The most I'll use my right hand is when I do kirikaishi, I use my right hand to change the angle, right? So I can keep my left hand centered, right? And that's the most I'll use it. But in terms of going up and down, I keep it, I just keep my, I'm not using my thumb or my index finger. It's just my palm and these fingers. That's what I'm using my right hand for.
Great. Thank you.
All right, guys. Have a good Sunday.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.